right, put a one in the chat if y'all can hear me. Put a one in the chat if you can hear me. All right, we ready to get this thing started tonight. It's so good to be back on Talk That Talk Tuesday. You guys had a great host that was here. I mean, you know, I was scared to come back. I thought the guy was just, you know, he did a great job. I was scared to come back in and show my face. So you know, I'm you know, I don't know what to do today. All right, but anyway, thank you so much to Lost in Translation. We call him Sweet Nasty, and so thank you so much, man, for taking over the spot and coming in here with your perspectives and your just you being you, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate my brother JT. Miss Jenny, she's a part of our family now as well. And our pain, thank him for all he does, all he's going to do and continue to do, and hope he's feeling better as well. It is Talk That Talk Tuesday. We are live and in living color. Let me go ahead and get to the chat so we can get everybody in here. Let's see here. We have Crystal Light in the building tonight. Crystal Light says, "Hey BMU, I've been binge watching, of course. Congrats on steadily growing. It's like 100 subs every couple of days. It would be interesting if you were still in contact with Nathan Daly to expound." Wow, those some old shows. Thank you, Crystal. I appreciate it. A lot of those guys came through here when they first started, man. Nathan Daly and a whole bunch of them. So you're watching them, you'll see. We got Take Heed to the Message, who will be with us shortly. Good evening to everyone on the panel and in the chat. We got the Lost in Translation. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit the like button on your way in. Absolutely. All right. Crystal says, fire. All right. We got CBN Tech Talks. What's going on, my guy? Black David, thank you for being here tonight. We got T. Shaw in the building tonight. T. Shaw, what's going on, my lady? Good evening, everyone. Let's see what else we got in here. Everybody said they can hear me. All right. We got Dr. Nkumbe in the building tonight. We got Miss Jenny R. Jones in the building tonight. All right, guys. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for you guys giving to the channel, helping the channel grow. It has been growing slowly but surely. And I appreciate everybody who has tapped in, who has watched, who has subscribed, who has given to the channel. I definitely appreciate you. If you want to give to the channel, you know what to do. It's at the bottom of the screen. If you want to give a super chat, you can do that as well. All right, moving on. All right, I want to bring up everybody that's going to be in here tonight with us. First, I want to do ladies first. The beautiful, enchanting, lovely, well-spoken, and classy Miss Jenny's in the building tonight. Let's give it up for her.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we got, listen, man, I'm going to get the Ball brothers out of the way first. All right. We got JT from What We Know Podcast in the building tonight. All right. All right. We got our Pain in the building tonight. Yes, indeed. And we got the smooth talking, the relaxed. Oh no, we got one more ball guy. I apologize. We got Dr. Nkumbe in the building tonight, guys. Now, tonight, you're going to get a doctor's perspective from Dr. Nkumbe during these times that we're actually talking about this. So when you hear this or you see this, know that the doctor's perspective is coming. Here it is. All right, Dr. Nkumbe is in the building tonight. All right, all right. And then last but not least, the smooth talking. You've seen him on here for the last 2 Tuesdays and a few Fridays, leading this program and making it do what it do. Give it up for my brother from another mother, the smooth talking, Sweet Nasty himself. Lost in Translation is in the building. Give it up.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
What's going on? Now I'm gonna put all the ball guys on the bottom, and then Mr. Benton to be here in a minute, so I gotta make room for him too. All right, man, guys.
Discrimination.
Right. Discrimination. I gotta get y'all. So it's good to see you guys. We'll start with Miss Jenny. We'll hop right in and go around the room. Miss Jenny, how was your day? How's family? How was life? And I just wanted to check everybody's temperature before we get started.
Yes, thank you. Things are going well. I was just saying backstage that I was on another panel earlier. I've just been doing my regular housewife stuff today. I was cleaning up outside, cleaned out my car finally. So that's just what I've been up to.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Lost in Translation. How have you been, Sweet Nasty?
I've actually been pretty good. You know, I've been going hard for the last, month or so, man, in the paint and hosting shows and being on panels. But today I took a half day today. You know, I
Mhm.
took it personal. You know what I mean? The time to reflect on how much I've done for the last few months or so. So sometimes we have to make sure we take care of ourselves because you know we get busy and we forget to take care of ourselves. You know, what good will I be, you know, if I'm sluggish or if I'm not available? So today I took a half day, you know, just to take care of me today. Got some rest.
Absolutely. Self-care is the best care, my brother.
That's right.
All right. Thank you for being here. JT from What We Know Podcast in the building tonight. JT, talk to me. How are you doing over there? How's my sister?
What's going on, homie? What's going on, Doc? What up, Doc? Our pain, Miss Jenny, my man lost in translation. Of course, my brother, Black Man Unfiltered.
Love you, man. Good to see you.
It's been all right weekend, man. I mean, a week. This weekend was rough because this was the first birthday I had to celebrate, my father's birthday, without him being here. So
Yeah.
this is rough. This weekend was rough, man. But we got through it. We definitely got through it. Other than that, you know, it's Tuesday, bro. You know what it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dr. Nkumbe, thank you for being in the building tonight, man. How are you today, sir?
Absolutely doing well. Thank you. Thank you. Good to see you. Hey, I look like a different shade of brown down here. Like, am I like the?
Yeah, you kind of
I
beige
look
today.
like I look like a piece
Kind
of
of
liver.
khaki color.
Yeah,
like a khaki.
It
Yeah.
must be my green screen. So I look like a piece of liver. Anyway, shout out to the panel, Miss Jenny. My first time, I think, being live with you. So it's an honor. Glad to be here with you, BMU, as always.
Thank you.
Awesome translation, JT, and our pain. So I look forward to the conversation. Hello to those in the chat. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for being here tonight, man. I want to get you guys' thoughts. Just a brief statement from each one of you about our topic tonight. Does it come close to home to you? Are you familiar with anybody who, if you've seen this, have you seen this? Went out to a party and saw this with children? Because I got an opportunity to see it on vacation. I see it when I go to the schools for my kids. These little 12-year-olds are dressing like 20-year-olds. Everything's out, breast out, lipstick all over them, 5 or different shades of makeup on their face. So I've seen it. I've experienced it being at the school with my children. So I want to check you guys' temperature about the over-sexualization of our children. And after everybody comments, we'll go into a video on what over-sexualization can lead to. Kids coming up missing, kids with we're not even talking about some kids. There was this kid that came up missing a few years ago that I definitely want to talk about tonight. Definitely, because it's nobody reported it. You didn't see it on the news or anything. So I want to bring it back up. It was his birthday, I think, just passed. And I want to bring it back up because nobody's talking about it. Mr. Bennett, how are you tonight?
Doing well.
Before you
All right,
go to
man.
Mr. Bennett, let me say my little hello story and stuff. I got to fight for my opening line, man. It's such a skip.
Oh yeah. Go ahead.
I'm only joking. Listen. I was thinking while I was waiting for everybody to say the intro, and I'm still trying to shake this thing. I don't know what the hell it is. They're throwing stuff at me, and it's still kind of only working. I'm feeling better, but every man who's bald-headed has a bald-headed story on why they cut off the rest of their hair, and we should explore that sometime. I had to cut my hair because I grew a Gulf of Mexico. Right?
So we're gonna have the baldy segment.
Oh man, you can't walk around with that, man. If you got that shit where it's like the Gulf, it's come up and stuff, you gotta cut that shit off. I was just happy that my head is kind of symmetrical and stuff.
Right.
If I had a couple of inches here and there, I'd probably be extra handsome. I can see how symmetrical my face is.
There you go.
So I'm trying to figure out how I hypnotize the ladies back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's where you got that when you were what's the word? Stripping back in the day. But that's another show. That's
funny. Anyway, hello everybody. That's all I gotta say.
Salute our pain.
Yeah, now Mr. Bennett, I want to get your how are you? How's the family?
Family as well. I am doing well. Just exploring some new opportunities here, but things are looking good. Things are looking positive. So very hopeful of what's to come. So in a good place.
Absolutely, man. I've been praying for you, brother. We had that
Appreciate
conversation.
You. Yes,
absolutely, sir. Brother. I've been sending up some good prayers for you. Keep me in prayer as well, man. We'll pray for each other. All right. And so, but I do want to get everybody's temperature in the room. Miss Jenny, or do you see, or do you feel as if we're in a time where our children are being hypersexualized or oversexualized in where we're living today, how we're living today?
Absolutely so. And so I go to a fundamental church. I'm a fundamental Baptist. And the church that I go to, a lot of the kids there are homeschooled or they're in private Christian school. And I can see such a stark difference between the kids at my church and the kids that I see on the street or the kids that I come across at the grocery store, places like that. Like the kids at my church, like my pastor's sons, like they're just so innocent. And like they're approaching teenage years and they just don't think about like they haven't seen any type of explicit content on the internet. They don't watch like R-rated movies or anything like that. And it's just so profound, like how warped a child's mind can be at such an early age. And I've seen it, so close to home with kids that I know personally. And they're watching pornography, or they want to wear, skimpy stuff, or they want to, go on dates. And it's like, you're a little kid, you're not even in high school yet. What do you mean? And it's just really sad.
It is. And so thank you for that. Lost in translation. What about you, my guy?
You know what? Here's my thing, man. I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and we were talking about this lady who had her kids on Instagram and how she was dressing them, right? And I was like, that's too much, man. That's too much. He was like, well, what's wrong with they got on? I said, they kids. You know what I'm saying? They shouldn't be dressing like that all the time. And then after a while, I started watching, how these people had their kids dressed, man, online. I'm like, bro, you might not want to do that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it really comes down to the environment that your kid's in. But nowadays, it's even in the classroom, like the ones who are not homeschooled as public school, they got teachers in there, changing the lyrics to songs just so kids can learn. But them kids can go back and listen to them lyrics again, on their own free time, and they're going to hear some things that's different from what the teacher was talking about. So my thing is they trying to, rush these kids to be grown. But my thing is let these kids be kids for as long as they can, man. You only get so many Christmases and so many 4th of July's as a child. You know what I'm saying? So let them enjoy that, man. They got all the rest of their life to be grown. But I think they're trying to rush. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want you to finish.
What I was saying is they're rushing them, out of childhood when they should be a child as long as they can, man. Because you don't get that back. And we've already seen what happens to these child stars when they are robbed of their childhood. Eventually they try to play that out later on. But when you get grown, stuff just don't look right. So my thing is to let kids, be kids for as long as they can, let them enjoy that.
Exactly. Thank you for that. I did want to hop in and say this real quick before we move on to the next person. I saw a commercial today where a lady was complaining in the store, and she was complaining about the Halloween costumes. Her daughter wanted to be a princess, and the princess for the 6-year-old, 7-year-old was cut down here. Right. The bottom part was up, where if she bent over, you could see all the things God gave her. And this is for 6 and 7-year-olds. And she was trying to wonder, she's asking a question to the news, like, why are we having these type of clothes for 6 and 7-year-olds? She says it's hard to even go to a store now and find decent clothes for kids to wear because it's so sexual for the kids. So I mean, we're dealing with it. Our pain. Your thoughts? Have you seen this? Have you experienced this in any way? Go ahead, brother. Let me hear from you.
Absolutely. I sent my kids to private school, Christian school, because I didn't want them in the environment of the public school system. With all the taxes I paid, I still paid for them to go to private school. Not that there's everybody saints there, but there's a certain amount of discipline that goes along there where, they had to at least be regimented. But there's a lot of sexuality going into a class, especially from the LBGQ or whatever, the alphabet community, because they have to distinguish themselves, and the only way they can do that is to advance sexuality to the young kids. Like, we didn't teach heterosexuality in school, right? We had just assumed that kids pick it up from just the environment of, so we didn't teach that. So they have to explicitly talk about same-sex things real young to indoctrinate the children. And that is, so that's putting sexual information in their heads. And that's a big issue. You know, that's my thing here when I saw this, the theme of this program. That's what I thought about. You
Yeah.
know, so I seem to be bombarded with sex, all kinds of sex now.
Man, thank you
Really
for
good.
that. We'll get the doctor last. So, Mr. Bennett, what are your thoughts? Are you seeing this in the community? Are you seeing young ladies who are dressed like they're adults? What are you seeing?
Well, I think from my perspective, I'm just going back over my life and I guess what I've seen and what I've been exposed to. I would definitely think that maybe the impact is definitely affecting younger kids, like under age 12. But I still remember, growing up, kids certainly 12 and up just being very sexual or exposed to sexual things. It's in the music. Growing up, I remember. In fact, there's a documentary coming out on Brooke Shields coming up, and she was considered back in the 70s very sexualized at an early age. She was in that movie, The Blue Lagoon or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
very,
yeah.
so there was just like a cult 70s especially. There was just push towards sexualizing of youth. JT and RP, remember those Jordache commercials? You got the look that I want
I
to
was
know better.
just I was
So
just thinking
they
about
were
that.
they had the kids in the classroom doing these very adult sort of things, sort of even back then. And so I think that is something that's been with us for a while. I'm also thinking about this in the context of when we talk about maintaining innocence of people. You really talk about historical periods here. I mean, when you were considered in a lot of societies of growing up when a woman got her period or when a man went through puberty. I mean, women were getting married at 13, 14, which we would think would be abhorrent today, but there's still cultures and societies around the world where that's still very much accepted. And they were talking about in the Bible, Mary might have been 14 years old, at the time. So I think a lot of this conversation where I think it's going, I also have to recognize that just how we look at when adulthood starts has definitely been pushed back, even from that of our parents. My mom's generation, if you weren't married by 21, they were like, something's wrong with you. You're an old maid if you weren't married by 21.
Right.
So I think that the age of consent has definitely moved and changed over the years based on the social mores of these time periods. And now we're in this age now where everyone's getting married later or thinking you're an adult when you're 30. Where back in the day when you were, you had guys 17 years old go and fight wars and whatnot. So you were grown then. So but I do think that, certainly with the preponderance of access to internet, to explicit content, I do think that some of this is starting earlier, like 6, 7, where
Hmm.
kids are being exposed to different types of music and different types of images that may not have been available. But I remember young kids back in the day, you might have been 8, 9, 10, 12. And like I said, with us, we didn't have the internet, but we had those porno magazines. So, you were hitting somewhere when we got access to them. And we already did a show a few months ago talking about how nobody was really had a proper sexual education taught by our parents. Certainly not women weren't taught a healthy sexual image growing up. So I think that's also part of a problem. Also, it's like we've tried to shield kids away from certain things, but in the end, did it really serve us well to be so have them in such a protective environment that now they get exposed to everything and they don't know how to handle it. So I think that part of it is overexposure. I think part of it is also negligence of parents not being responsible in teaching children and young people proper healthy sexual function, hygiene, all those things that are important to becoming a functional adult. I think there have been too many of us have been negligent there, and I don't think it's necessarily been it's a new problem, but I am seeing a preponderance, like I said, especially for elementary school kids. Certainly, they know a lot more because there's just a lot more access to information. It's just hard to turn a lot of those things off. Like back in the day, we just didn't have that much access.
Right. I saw a video also, to jump in there again. I saw a video today of I forget the actress name. She was on Long Kiss Goodnight with Samuel L. Jackson. I can't remember her name. However, she has an organization.
Gina
Huh?
Davis. Gina
Yeah, there
Davis.
you go. There you go. She's doing this now. She has an organization that helps girls with that. And she said they've discovered doing several things just to figure this out. They've discovered that young girls right now are masturbating at 6. 6 years old. And she says some of the girls that they met with that are 6 or 7 were saying that they do that because the people, their idols, do it. So it's and they show some of the things that we'll get into some videos in a second, but they show some things that, you know, these they follow these young babies looking like, shh, you know, I want to do that too. You know, Jada Pinkett Smith said when she was that age, her grandmother taught her how to masturbate, how to self-please herself, at 8, 9 years old. So yeah, it's bad, but we'll get into the video when everybody gives me their responses. Well, welcome to the show tonight. Our sister Take Heed to the Messages in the building tonight. How are you doing, sister?
I'm doing just fine. Just struggle streaming tonight.
Hey, we all been there. We all been there. Don't you worry. So we're gonna get everybody else in. So we got Lost in Translation. We got Miss Jenny. We didn't get JT right. JT wouldn't get you right. No, okay, JT, go ahead.
You're on mute, JT.
The mute monster got you.
Got me. Mutation.
Yeah.
All right. So going back to what you were saying,
Yeah.
like the little girls, they're being exploited. It's not just their idols, it's their, you know, the moms. They got all these toys now, and they don't hide them from their kids. So, you know, they just got these toys laying around. It used to be, you know, they have them in a closet somewhere where the kids can't find them, but it's right there, you know. So, and then they talk, you know, reckless around their children. So the children pick up everything that they're talking about. And then you have a lot of these young mothers twerking. Baby right there, cat and dog right there, the baby in a diaper looking at her, you know, twerking and stuff like that. Whether it's a little boy, a little girl, you know. Then they have their friends around them, over-sexualize them. They had a video where the little boy was going around smelling all the women's butts and stuff like that. And they thought it was cute. And they had it on, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So this is over-sexualizing. Then you got these teachers. It's crazy how it's starting to be like a trend where you have all these teachers that's going around doing all this sexy stuff on, you know, on camera just so they can get likes and stuff like that. So it's been changing over and over again, but it's the same way that Mr. Bennett was talking about. Even when we were kids, you know, it was a lot of the music was over-sexualizing. You had a lot of parents, specifically moms, that I've heard that their mouth was just nasty. Even when it came down to the young ladies, it's like the way that I heard these moms talking to these teenage girls was just crazy, you know. And it's no wonder that, you know, they grew up, you know, being terrible parents because the mom was terrible to them. I've seen women getting beat like somebody in the street by their mama. This is when I was a teenager. I seen when a mama call them bees and hoes and sluts. I done seen it. Then when you hear them when they're older, then you hear about, you know, molestation by a mom's boyfriend or her brother or something like that. So this was in my generation where that was happening. And then we had the music. And if you hear 90s like music, kind of like what they consider the gangster music or street music and stuff like that, basically what you was hearing from the men was that it was their disappointment in their mom and their hatred for their dad. You listen to that 90s music, that's what it was. The disappointment in their mama and the hatred for their dad. So I'm gonna land there, bro.
All right, absolutely. Before the doc, we get the perspective from the doc. Um, you know, take heed. Are you? I know if you hadn't listen, if you hadn't subscribed to Take Heed, what's wrong with you? Take heed. Have you seen this in your stratosphere where young girls are being over sexualized, hypersexualized as far as what they're wearing and how their mamas maybe buying their clothes? I know you are a lot on this right now. You holding these ladies accountable. So what are your thoughts on this? Ain't nothing but the devil.
She frozen, man. Like a pill of salt down in Sodom and Gomorrah.
It must be
Lots.
standing where she is.
Yeah. Okay. So what we'll do is while she's getting together, I'll wait on her to come back, and then we'll go from there. But I want to show you guys this video first. Sister Billie Eilish. I don't know. I know you guys know who that is. She had something to say about the hypersexualization of children. And I want to play that video first, and we'll discuss that one first, and then we'll get the doc in here. Oh, here she is. Here she is. All right. Yeah. Now go ahead and unmute. Okay. Let's see if you can hear you. Yeah, she's
Every time.
Yeah, she's struggling streaming tonight. We're gonna get her through it though. All right. So here's Billie Eilish, and then we'll get the doc's perspective on what we were talking about before this. Here we go.
Billie Eilish had this to say about the oversexualization on TikTok.
I love TikTok. It brings me joy. It's funny, but I am really upset by the hypersexualization of
super young
women and men, and it's horrible to me because TikTok, you could be any age. You just get the app. It doesn't matter.
Young girls aren't merely consuming this sexually charged content, but they're creating it. They imitate dances from their favorite music videos and popular influencers. A whole generation is being discipled by sexually charged content.
All right, we'll go, Doc. We can let you say your part on the first part, then we'll go into everybody else on discussing that video we just saw.
Excuse me. I've been listening, but what's the first part? I mean, I've been listening, but remind me again.
Oh, the first part, we're just saying, do you see it? Is it, because I know you deal with it because you have patients and things of that nature, but out in the world, how bad is it in your eyes, that the over-sexualization of children?
The reporting of it, the actual talking about it, the schools seeing it more.
Mm-hmm.
Numbers not like there's an increase in reporting, but if you take, I don't know our audience, how old the audience is, but for me, you take my generation where Michael Jackson, Barry White, and these different songs come on, and if the parents had guessed, they would actually tell you, go and do that dance, and they actually praised you to woohoo and do all that, and they praised you, but it wasn't sexual, but it was entertaining. So now you change the lyrics because ass before was a curse word, and on hell you could barely say hell. But now we've increased to where regular television allows for bitch. So again, you take at one generation, it was this word, but there was a word. In one generation, there was sexualization, but it wasn't as much like boom. Now you have to add a whole ton of other things to it that I see. The money in it. So before, there was a time where we would say children were off limits, but the money in it now, and I'm not talking about trafficking. I'm talking about the idea that we have people who are attracted to younger and younger people, and then our world overall, our society has become more dog eat dog world. I mean, it's almost like the Thunders. I mean, those end of the world movies where everyone's on their own. And so if I can make a buck, I mean, there were times when you used your kid to help you steal bologna at the store, right? You use them to kind of shield and do whatever, but now actually using them to to show their bodies, hoping for a overnight
sensation.
Yeah, overnight sensation would become like a one-hit wonder, right? Like boom, they sing a song and turn it more sexual. So yes, I think there's more reporting of it, more seeing of it, more utilizing them and taking advantage of them. But the actual idea of having kids entertained, that's always stayed consistent, but now more sexual in nature. I totally see it an increase.
All right, thank you so much for that, Doc. I appreciate it. So let's get into the video. I want to play it because I've seen some people just came in. I want to play it one more time. And this is Billie Eilish talking about the influence of TikTok over-sexualizing our children. Here we go.
Billie Eilish had this to say about the over-sexualization on TikTok.
I love TikTok. It brings me joy. It's funny, but I am really upset by the hyper-sexualization of
super young
women and men, and it's horrible to me because TikTok, you could be any age. You just get the app, it doesn't matter.
Young girls aren't merely consuming this sexually charged content, but they're creating it. They imitate dances from their favorite music videos and popular influencers. A whole generation is being discipled by sexually charged content.
All right, we'll start with Miss G. What are your thoughts on the video?
I don't know. I find it, I guess I just find it a little hypocritical hearing that from a pop star, because she is not the most egregious offender. The music that she makes is not like overtly sexual, but sometimes I feel like, the messenger does matter. And it's like, okay, well, you're not exactly a Puritan, you're not exactly preaching conservative family values. So why should I listen to you about this? Or maybe that's what the children who she hears them criticizing, that's what they might be saying, like, who is she to tell me that I don't need to post provocative stuff on the internet? Like, she does that, and she sings songs about, being sexual and things like that. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. But besides that, I think that video is good, that at least someone is talking about it that has some influence.
Absolutely. JT, you want to hop in there?
Yeah, I like Billie Eilish. I like her music. I don't see it being salacious or anything like that. It's actually it's the total opposite. It's more like, I think she tries to stay away from a lot of salacious songs for that point, because even if you see her videos, she dressed tomboyish in a lot of her videos, and it's more like weirdo type of stuff, like it's not goth or something like that, but it's kind of like that out of the world type of thing. It's like she tries to have creativity with her music and things like that. Yeah, I'm with Miss Jenny. Is at least we have someone that is an influencer that has a great influence too, to at least start the conversation, to get it to a point where we can have the conversation. So yeah, that's I'll land with that.
All right, thank you so much. Lost in Translation, what are your thoughts on the video, my brother?
Here's my thing, man. I listen to everything people say and nothing gets past me. I have a background in computers and technology. And when people say stuff like, this is what I see on TikTok, what people understand is that there's an algorithm that's going to show you what you continue to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So when she says all she sees on her TikTok is this, I started thinking, I was like, that's probably because she's been watching it. And nobody is questioning that, because that doesn't come up in my algorithm. The stuff that comes up in my algorithm is inspirational stuff like this program, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So there's a market for everything, but that genie in the bottle is going to give you what you're really looking at. So I question when I hear stuff like that, because I'm aware of the algorithm. Because you ever heard the story, the wolf in sheep's clothing? You know what I mean? That type of thing. So I'm very aware of stuff like that. So I pay attention to stuff like that. And it may not be overt to a lot of people, but I'm always catching the undercurrents to stuff like that. Always, because it's always there if you pay attention. You're on mute, black man.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm gonna play the video one more time for the people that came in and for take heed to the message. Here we go.
Billie Eilish had this to say about the oversexualization on TikTok.
I love TikTok. It brings me joy. It's funny, but I am really upset by the hypersexualization of
super young
women and men, and it's horrible to me because TikTok, you could be any age. You just get the app. You know, it doesn't matter.
Young girls aren't merely consuming this sexually charged content, but they're creating it. They imitate dances from their favorite music videos and popular influencers. A whole generation is being discipled by sexually charged content.
All right, we'll get you in there. Not lost. Take heed to the message. What are your thoughts? You're muted.
They have been doing that for many years. That's nothing new. They've been doing that since the 70s when they used to have us in those little the school dress skirts with the high thighs, knee highs and all that. So that has been since the 70s. The only thing is that when we used to wear those little skirts, your mama would tell you close your legs and cross your legs. So they have been doing that since it's been a long time. And I'm gonna share something with you. From us dressing like that as the style, some of us got molested. Some of us got handled by people when your mama and your daddy had those weed parties back in the day, and everybody come to the house and they be doing nonsense, and mama and daddy, and if mama and daddy was in heavy drugs, they got their friends up there supplying the drugs, and the friend who's supplying the drugs be touching the children. So that has been going on for many years. And as parents, only thing you.
Oh no.
Yeah, I hate that. I really do.
When
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
When I say shield your children, I mean tell them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them the truth. Talk to them. You understand? Because when we stay quiet and we don't talk to our children, that gives room for predators. Because if you don't tell the child that this is wrong, nobody should touch you in this way. I don't care what you have on. Nobody should touch you this way. And then we also should tell our children how to dress better as well. When there's people in the house, you should have fully clothes on. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't be walking around in those shorts, a tank top, and all these things like that.
No bra.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so we have to teach our girls this too. And I'm gonna share something with you as well. We have to talk to our boys.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't mention that. We only talk about the girls, but the boys get touched too.
Yeah.
We miss that. The boys get touched too. And sometimes it be by their own siblings, or either it's by the cousins that come over. So you got to talk to these children. And also too, stop letting them shut the door. When you hear the room too quiet, bust in the room. Why they got the door shut? You know what I'm saying? Ask questions. And you got to talk to these babies to ask them, well, not ask them, but to tell them if someone touches you down there, talk to mama. Even if the person say they're going to do something bad to you, talk to me. You know what I'm saying? Let the child know that this is a safe space to talk to mama or daddy. You know, and back in the day when I was growing up, you didn't tell that. You didn't tell that. Your mama would tell you whatever happened in this house, stay in this house. That's the most nonsense saying that Black people have invented from the beginning of time.
Yep. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. She'll be back. She's going in and out. Anybody else want to hop in on this video of Billie Eilish?
Not so much the video, but can I is not pushback, is an addition, but but it's a challenge also, man.
Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh.
So take heed, spot on. What permissions were allowed for kids back in the day, you just don't see it anymore, or I don't see it as much. But I want to add, because there's a large population of youth being tampered with by the neighbor, uncle, someone using drugs, and they allow the kids to, boom. Equal to that, there's the population that's playing hide and kiss. There's the population of cousins playing and touching and exploring. There's the population of boys who are, there's a population of incest right there in the family.
True.
And no one was saying, well, they weren't talking about it. And then they're at the dinner table, like it's just general, like, what's up? We're going to play that game again tonight? What game y'all playing? Oh, well, we suck each other off. What? But it's been happening for years, to the point we thought it was normal. Okay, these guys are saying they thought it was normal. How many girls have had sleepovers and they thought it was, they're like, well, we were just messing around. So I do say, yes, I agree about the number of people who've been tampered with, but let's not forget about the equal number of people who were either doing innocent play, innocent as in experimenting. We didn't know any better. The guys who were seeing people in the shower for the first time and they're getting excited, not knowing why. The girls who are humping the floor, not knowing why. So I just wanted to give some just to that population as well, where it's not some foul play involved.
And I keep saying this time and time again about a couple of months ago. Well, we was going to have a guest here, but she wasn't able to make it because she had to sit down with parents whose child went to a sleepover, and they had toys. They had dildos, and these little girls were 10 years old, 9, 10 years old, and they're just jabbing each other, just going at it. Mama come in 2:00 in the morning, hear them all in there with all that, and she thought they were playing. That was moaning. They were in there getting orgasms with this damn toy. And she said that the parents are just devastated. And I told her, I said, well, take care of that. Hopefully we can have you back on a day. But I want to tell you something right now. I guarantee that's not the first time those girls have done that. That's not, because they use their parents' toys. And on top of that, where did they even get these toys? To go around the room jabbing each other with them. Their mamas.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that type of seeing, play, yeah, they witnessed it somewhere.
Exactly.
So I agree.
Yeah. So anybody else want to hop in on that Billie Eilish video, or we can move on to the other video?
Well, I just wanted to follow up on, I think, a point that the doctor was making earlier about the money involved. Because again, I think if you go back to, like I said, the 70s or whatever, when I was exposed to stuff, again, a lot of this stuff started with a lot of these young artists, and how a lot of these artists started out as sort of like the pop stars, like the innocent music. But by the time they get 12 or whatever, I mean, when Usher, I remember the 90s when Usher came out, he was like, I don't know, 13, 14, starting to do very explicit music. But again, was like the push from the industry. A lot, even Britney Spears.
I was just thinking, remember Britney Spears, 14,
yeah,
and
so,
that
so right. So that was just, so it's almost like this age. Just like, all right, so when they're 10 years old, it's like, yeah, they can do the kids' music and it's cute. But as early as like 12 years old, they start pushing these young children to start doing more adult music, or the dance routines, or whatever's. And I've seen some child parents of some of these people wanting to get their kids into the music industry and stuff, and these people are straight up. It's like, look, if you want to sell, sex sells, unfortunately.
Right.
And if you want, to not be looked at as a little kid, you're going to have to do more sexual things. So I definitely think there's I don't know if I mean, yeah, I mean, I think there's some evil intent behind it, but I think it's more so it's greed or it's for money. I don't know if it's necessarily coming from an aspect where we just want to sexualize everybody, but I think some of these people, the only thing they look at is just capitalism, just how can we make the most money, how can we get the most green by any means necessary. And I think that's ultimately what's driving the side effect of that is I think what we're seeing with the oversexualization of young people, but it's money that's driving it. But I don't think there's some people say it's something else, but I don't see that. I think money ultimately is at the root of a lot of these issues.
So, may I ask you a question, Mr. Bennett?
Yes, sir.
Do you I believe in supply and demand. Now, when you grew up, did you have an iPad?
No.
Excuse me, as a 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, did you have an iPad?
No, I did not.
So the supply is there. There's a company, there's somebody making money, making them younger and younger. And even like you said, the Blue Lagoon, let's get Brooke Shields, all these people young, got it. But I question, how are the kids seeing it? I'm not talking about trying to get the scramble channel and see some nipples through the zigzag. I'm talking about given a phone, given a device,
No, I get it.
access to the YouTube, full access to the World Wide Web, because a parent says they have to have a phone. Something could happen to them. It's another whole conversation. But how many parents are giving their 6-year-olds a full device? Well, that one doesn't work anymore, but it has full access to the Wi-Fi. And so supply is there, but how are the kids seeing it? Is what I would propose.
Well, it's interesting. You're talking. If you want to say supply side and demand side, I don't know how to probably categorize it, because you could say the demand's always been there, but now the supply is more plentiful. So it's like, again, we're human beings at the end of the day. Like I said, what happened in my generation and generations prior. I mean, back in the day, the waltz was considered a evil, over sexualized dance back in the day. The waltz. So again, there's always been this aspect of us that is trying to either keep the evil away, or we're tantalized by something. Depending again on the mores of the day. I think human beings, we do have this in us. We're a lot of ways we're supposed to be sexual. I mean, that's part of what we've been created for.
Right.
But I think the supply is way over. So where it's almost to the point where it's free, right? I mean, I don't see how people in the and I mistakenly said in the corn industry, I don't see how they make money, because everything is out there is just free. I mean, I don't see why would anybody even need to pay for a subscription service, given but back in the day, someone would have had to go in embarrassingly and buy the penthouse and check out, and the teller's looking at you like, you reading that or whatever, and then you snuck it away. I mean, there was a cost. You went to the video store, the rental store, and you had to go behind that red curtain and come out or whatever. There was a
Talk
cost
to
that
us,
you had
Mr.
to pay.
Bennett. Talk us through it now.
But now it's like it's basically they're giving it. It's free. These apps are free. Most of the internet is mostly. Well, I'm saying I mean these
I get it.
I mean, it's like everything is. I'm saying like TikTok, for example. Like everything is free. So the supply, they just said we just gonna go all in on the supply side, rather than trying to stir up the demand. And I think that's what it dropped. But I still think it's just down to money. It's about how can we make the most money. So let's give it, and we'll get it on the back end through advertisers or whatever else, or other sponsorships. If I got a certain amount of followers or whatever, I'm gonna get paid. So the supply side is totally shot. Whereas before it was in certain areas where you had to be very specific and very deliberate if you wanted to get to it. Like I said, you brought up some minutes, you had the cable, and you would actually look over your parents' shoulder to see what the code was. 90999. That is the one that would unlock the over after 12 o'clock stuff on cable or whatever it was that was on. So you had to work a lot harder. Now no one has to work for it. It's out your door and it's there.
So there's the flip side of that, because I don't want to demonize all parents who have supplied the phone. So I'm not demonizing all parents. If you give your child a phone, that's your business. there's the flip side of it, BMU, which is I think where I think you're going. Because the kids who have not been allowed full access,
right,
kids who don't have the devices,
right,
they don't need it anymore because not only are they, so we can't get them to the X and so channel, but we can get them at school. We can get them at in the toy section of the store, at the Targets and the Walmarts with the design of the toys,
exactly,
and the outfits and the new clothing. So they don't have to have those devices. We'll just sexualize other things,
right,
and boom, now we have full circle.
Yep, you're right, and a lot of parents, I hear them say, because sometimes your kids put you up on game, right? So, my son told me, Daddy, a lot of parents think they be doing something. I said, what does that mean, son? He said, a lot of parents say, give me that phone, give me that tablet, give me that laptop. And he said, they'll go right to school, Daddy, and their best friend will give them their laptop, give them their tablet, let them borrow it until they can get their phone back. And it's almost to the point I heard a parent say the other day at a parent meeting, it's getting to a point you can't stop it. It's inevitable. If your kids go to a public school or any type of anywhere, it's on the signs, it's in the commercials, it's in like Mr. Bennett said, it's free, right? You could just go in and type in, a penis or a woman sex, anything, it'll pop up. It'll give you what you want, right? No filters or anything. So this is what we're living in. I don't know how to combat it when it comes to children because they have so much access to it.
You would have to knock the access down. You have to start going back to devices that are just, for instance, cell phones, right? You can call someone. Is all you'll be able to do with the cell phone. That's it, until you can afford to have your own cell phone. Because what's happening is it's not just the porn. That's like the gateway to what they're really doing. You got to remember, they've been groomed to stay away from their own parents. They're being groomed. They have a different world than everybody else. And it started with, anybody remember the one Snapchat?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it started with Snapchat. Snapchat is basically what and I think they still use it.
Oh, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
that's right. So
you
that
got
was
10
it.
seconds to see that penis before it disappears.
Remember when you had the kids everybody was on Facebook, right? Kids, the parents, grandparents, everybody was on there. The kids, they started separating. They're like, that's you. If you're on Facebook,
I'm not
old
being
as
on
a,
there.
you're an old person.
You're right.
If you're on Facebook. So then they went to IG. Now the IG is overpopulated with too many damn grown people. They've moved to something else now. And
TikTok.
It's just more and more and more. It's not even TikTok. If they're using TikTok, they're using the live, right? Where you can control who can be in your lives.
Right.
All of these are different rooms. They got they have another, like, they're using like what we're using right now. They're using stuff like that. They're just not paying the money that we would pay for it. They had something that was connected to Facebook and IG where you can be right in that little group. They're using it. So and even when you're talking about that, you have to look at how they're being marketed to. If you look at the rappers are now, their favorite rappers, and I'm talking about women and men in this generation, are women.
Yep.
It
exactly.
flipped all the way around, right?
Yes, sir.
So the women they're not being women, they're being kids. Look at all the colors that pops out, the pinks, the red. Everybody got pink and
The
red and
browns.
orange. Right. Think about how McDonald's and Burger King, how they market it to people, right? The colors. What is it? Orange, red, white, lime green, neon orange for blimpies. That's psychological, right? So look at the videos. You don't really see the guys doing videos like that. The girls are doing videos, and what do you see? All these popping out colors, and they talk like babies, and they got everybody sucking on lollipops. But what are they also doing? Over-sexualizing them. Then they have a different language. They have a different language. The language is not what we think it is. Unless you are around them, you will find out they have a whole different language. This ain't just like the regular way that how we used to come up with slang. They shit makes no sense at all. Understand, the term cap came from nothing, just from somebody saying it. There's no definitive term. They had to make a definitive term to it. When we came up with slang, at least when we came up with something, there was an origin for it, right?
Yep.
There's no origin for it.
Well, that just means they're more creative, right? Because we had
it does.
pay. Remember saying backwards with pay and saying different words and
pig Latin, right? Yeah. But theirs it's a little bit different because there's no real definitive term. It's like Morse code with them.
Yeah.
It's Morse code.
Yeah,
oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I also say because I remember when was this years ago, but I remember my uncle saying some stuff about this, but later on, years later, and like I think it was like 2014, him and his daughter and her little boyfriend were talking, and he told them never go past the living room. If y'all want to watch a movie, you watch that. Don't go in my living room. Don't go out my living room. Don't go down in the hall to them bedrooms. Period. And he heard the guy saying, "So we still going to Six Flags?" She said, "Yeah." He said, he said, "You still gonna ride that ride?" She said, "Yeah." He said, "Okay." She said, "But I may not though." He said, "Cause I get hungry and I be needing money." He said, "Well, what's the cost of admission? How much it gonna cost me?" And he said, he was just listening like, I don't think they talking about Six Flags. And they were not.
Right.
They were talking about having sex right there, having a loud conversation. And if he didn't catch on to it, and he started talking to his daughter like, "You ain't gonna have sex," and she opened up to him and said, "Yes, I've been thinking about having sex." She was honest with him. "I've been thinking about having sex." He said, "Well, we need to do something about it because I can't have you out here bringing no baby back." Right. So he took her to the doctor. They put her on birth control, and which the effects of birth control on a young baby is horrible. But also having a baby is horrible too. It's it's tough. But guys, I want to play this second video because this is on Joe Rogan. This guy's talking about over-sexualization of children. Let's take a look.
But now, dude, you give a little kid a cell phone and you have two parents working. Next thing you know, you fucking go on Instagram, you got titties in your face. Like now we're like hypersexualizing kids. And I think that's also a big moral decay. Because the moment you become hypersexualized and I can't stop thinking about fucking pussy and dick, it starts fucking your brain up at such a young age. So
and it's a very unusual way to give it to kids where they have instant access to watching porn on their phone day long.
And we have no morals. There's no reason not to be a shitty person these days. You ain't going to heaven. Just fucking go fucking fuck the chick, come in her. You don't got to raise your fucking kid. So I think one of the best things we can do as society is mitigate sex. Because that is the gateway to that's why we want to make money. That's why kids want to sell drugs. That's why kids want to go fucking party.
You're on mute, black man.
All right, you guys' thoughts? Everybody can just jump in. We just had this conversation.
Does he go on to talk about what the mitigation is?
Yeah, he does later on in the video, but we can't do too much. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So jump in here. Jenny.
Well, let me just finish. I think it's all true. If you're talking about mitigation, here's one of the things I think we have to realize: there's no going back. There's, we have to look at realistic things. There's absolutely no going back. And I know, earlier, I think Mr. Bennett talked about the supply. The supply is plentiful, but the demand is still more. And the reason why they can give away porn is because you always need more. Men drive the porn market, you know, and one of the things that's being manipulated, and I don't think a lot of men understand this, or maybe we do, but we don't think about it. I believe that men's desire for sex has been constant since the beginning of man. I don't care what kind of man you are. You know, we put moral governors on it, but it's not a moral thing. If you're a saint, or if you're a sinner, if you want to be married, or if you want to just smash, none of that stuff matters for the man's sexual drive. It's constant. It's absolutely constant in the marketplace. And how you behave is the only discriminator. And it's age dependent. And it's all of these things. But the real key is constant. And when you're exposed to it in the wrong way, it easily gets off the rails. Okay. But we got to stop fighting the idea that this thing called dick discipline is something that you grow into. We could talk about it. I think it's just like talking about abstinence, right? It's the best, but it don't work only for just a certain amount of people. So for men, dick discipline means that you can weigh you do a weight of the destructive things you can do in sex against against the positive things in terms of what your future might be. So we got to get men to think more about the repercussions of having just indiscriminate sex with women you don't even like. Because I think we don't actually emphasize and re-emphasize the fact that being financially dependent on a system, or to the system for 19 to 21 years, how much of a destructive thing that really is, you know? And so we don't talk about it enough. And so when you get a little older, you start making those analysis, right? If I have a woman that I don't necessarily like, but I don't have no rubbers, you know, I might think twice about raw dogging. If I know the downside of that, and I have all of this future ahead of me, and that's what we're starting to miss. Because I don't know how I don't think we emphasize the things that are bad enough, and we might just think that people should know that. But when it comes to men and our sexual drive, depending on your age, we take sex from a woman any way she decides to give it. You know, it's just that simple. And we say if you're from 18 to 30, that drive is stronger. And then we also say that when you get older and you go through your sexual transmutation and you look at putting that energy towards more productive things, we still have no shortage of men who are 40, 45, millionaires dropping the bag for hag, for whatever woman. She don't have to be a hag, but for whatever woman. Email Udoka, right? The Boston Celtics.
I hadn't heard hag in a long time, bro.
Me neither. I was
He's looking
heard
over that
hag
bag,
in a
didn't
long time, bro.
And I
It's been a
didn't
minute.
even say that because I'm not going to disparage the woman, right? She just might want sex too. But he gave away the bag with all the women he could fool around with. He picks a woman who's married to a VP in the Celtics organization. How could you do that as a 45-year-old man? It's crazy. Or the president getting his thing blown out in the Oval Office. You're the president, damn it. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, I used to joke and say, what's the benefit of being the most powerful man in the world if you can't get a little head, you know? But you know, I'm just joking. You know, I mean, he didn't wait. You don't think that's the destructive. The world is blowing up around you, and you in a thing getting banged out, man. It's just crazy. So,
I think I'm a little convinced though, Arpain, that I don't think that there's an urge that's more powerful than sex to men. Just think about what you just said and from what level a man would be in. It can be the lowest of low men all the way up to some prestigious man that has $1 billion, that's the president, that's a doctor, that all of these things. And when you find out what started the problems, the big problems he have, a lot of times it's his urge to have sex in the most indiscriminative way. It's not just having sex. it's kind of like, you know, you had these guys, man, where wife could be beautiful, life is grand, but it's something about not just that urge, but it's how you it's man, that's a strong. The more I keep thinking about it myself, the more I think about it myself, it's kind of like that shit is strong as hell.
Well, let me finish
Because
this,
being
JT.
the
Let me
younger
finish
me, I was like, I did some shit where I was like,
me too. But let me finish this,
and then I'm
JT.
like,
Let me finish this, JT, because I want to just say one more thing. The Bible's littered with those kind of stories all the way through, you know, and it's just one of those kind of things that I don't think men kind of realize. We say all these talking points on this thing, but in the sexual marketplace, with guys like Easy Money, who doesn't believe there's a marketplace, he doesn't. If there's supply and demand, there's a marketplace. It's not men who control the sexual marketplace. It's women. Women control it. Their promiscuity controls the chaos in the marketplace because men are just the beneficiaries of getting their supply or getting their demand met, depending on the promiscuity of the women. And when the women are real promiscuous, marketplace is all over the place. It's all over. And that's what we see in the West.
You know what? I saw a lady I'm gonna get you to cook, Mr. Bennett. I saw a video on Facebook, and there was this party, and my cousin was at the party. I saw her at the game Saturday. She was slick. And so she was running. She had the little sign, and she was dancing around the sign. So I said, "Oh, they over there partying, boy." And I looked at the sign. That sign turned around, and the sign said, "I'm sucking somebody's dick tonight. Who is it going to be?" This is what the sign said. I'm sucking somebody's dick. How many men in there are sitting there like, damn, I wonder is that gonna be me? Yeah, you already got everybody. You already got them. You already here with the men. You already got them right here. How many men came in? Huh?
This is at a high school game?
No. This was at a after like an after party thing they were at or something crazy.
Oh,
and I was like,
where were you?
So I went over to my wife. I said, baby, I said, look at these kids. Right? Because my son was trying to go. Dad, I want to go to the party. Oh, thank God. I said, son, it's too far out. You can't go. Because I'm not coming back and forth. That was like an hour out, probably. It was in Fort Worth from Dallas. So if you from here, you know what I'm talking about. That's a long drive. And so I told my son, no, I ain't gonna be able to take you. And then so he was looking at the little thing, somebody went live, and I said, what you looking at? He said, Dad, look how much fun you're having. And the girl turned around like she was about 15, 16, and the sign says, somebody getting their dick sucked tonight on the little signage. And I'm thinking, what these girls' mamas at?
Like, where was it at? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Type of event? What type of event?
It was like, so they had a little thing at the school, like a little homecoming thing, and then afterwards they did a little bonfire thing or some their party thing, and so the parents allowed them to go out to some place where they set this huge bonfire, and the kids were out there. They were out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to throw in just a perspective. It's not this. And I don't know, Miss Jenny, were you gonna say something? I don't know if I cut you off. Were you gonna say
No,
something?
you did.
Okay. It's just an additional perspective. With the increase of all the sexual activity, there's also been an increase in like low self-esteem, low self-worth, and sex, chocolate, and certain drugs all give the same type of dopamine rush. Okay, so they all give you the same. In fact, the brain is almost blind. It wouldn't know if you gave it a piece of milk chocolate, some coochie, or
cocaine.
It wouldn't know the difference. It just knows the high. But with the level of the increase of everyone, I'm a bad person. The drop in those who have value for themselves, the increase in the dopamine rush. So women historically feel the pressure. Like if you take a girl and she walks across the room, psychologically, she's already experiencing eyes on her because we put the value in the body, right? In the body parts. So a guy across the room, yes, there are people who sex and objectify him also. But my point is, if girls are knowing to get this certain type of attention, because there are girls who hold the signs, there are girls who give initial consent, but those are the clients that I'm seeing. So when I'm working with adolescent offenders, and we don't actually call them offenders, they call them problematic sexual behaviors, and then I'm working with the victims, they say, yes, it was a fun thing to do. I wanted attention. The girl who was in the garage with Sam and said, yeah, let's do this, and then he snuck his guy in. See, back in the day, you really had to sneak that guy in. And next thing you know, she was in a situation. But now it's this bold, hook up my, come on. And then they all come in. She agreed to 1 or 2 or 3. But I have clients who say, it's just a bunch of dudes. And next thing I know, she only wanted a little attention. So anyway, my whole point is, I think there's an increase in people who have such low self-esteem, low self-worth, party hardy, and sex sells or sex gets attention. And every behavior has a purpose. Every behavior has a purpose. And so even though they think it, well, there are people who actually enjoy sex at 14, 15, whatever, but the average adolescent, pre-adolescent into adolescent, they're not discovering the sex stuff then. We have to put it into context. When we were 2 to 3 years old, we were already looking down at our bodies. What is that? For the parents who took showers with your kids, to the parents who had you play rubber ducky and share in the tub together, you already were sexually, what they call you were already pre-exposed. I'm talking about 2 to 3. You don't even go to school yet at 2 or 3 years old. So we're not even talking about the drag queens and all that. We're talking about 2 to 3 years old when you were already looking at your own self saying, what is that? In the shower, what? Don't touch me there. And parents weren't doing it. Most parents weren't doing it on purpose, but those who were saving water or with family, because you got these same families out east, on the east side of the world, they take showers and blah blah blah. But then they also, but the conversations after, how do you normalize that? Easy Pain was in the, Easy Money was in the chat here talking about, yeah, but we talk about that, we normalize it, because 2 to 3, you're wondering what's that body part. 3 to 5, you actually are starting to get the concept of that's your PP, right? Any of you raised, I'm not asking a rhetorical question. Any of you raised babies? And that's my PP. And what do you do with your PP? So they knew that before school. In fact, we teach them good touch, bad touch when they get to 6, 7, 8 years old. So they already know the sex stuff. And then for everything that they saw in advance, it cut a pathway in the brain. So it's kind of imaginary stuff without me getting too clinical. Imagine that your head is a patch of grass, not me and JT and all those guys. We're not the same. But imagine a patch of grass, and every single sexual anything cuts another pathway in the brain. Another pathway in the brain. So by the time they turn 11, 12, 13, they're not going to discover, they're going to confirm. So the guys who were humping the floors and stuff, they're not, I mean, that was discovery, like, whoa, now I get it. But when I open the door and I see parents in there, what do we say? Oh, ick. When we recognize it, it's like, oh, parents doing that nasty. But look at kids when they catch you, like, wow. When we're older and wiser, like, oh, y'all nasty. The kids, amazed. So then when they go into that pre-stage, I'm not talking about the ones who've been touched and handled on. I'm talking about just natural 2, 3, 2 to 6. Anyway, my point is, by the time they get 12, 13, 11, 10, 11, 12, 13, they're going to confirm, not discover. And then those who've been touched already, they're going to double down, so to speak, if that makes sense. So I just want to put that perspective out there to say, also, we have to also consider this stuff didn't just come to them when they were they didn't just come. No, they saw that from 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. If you had any siblings or spend the night with your parents or anything, you already saw it.
Yeah, man, thank you for that. I appreciate that. Anybody else want to hop in on that video before we move to the next one?
I just want to follow up on something Arpane was saying. I agree with you in regards to the constant of certainly men's sexual libido and whatnot throughout time, which is why when it comes to a point when you made the point about how men drive the porn industry, I would differ a little bit to say that I think women, especially over the last 40, 50 years, I think women have been clearly driving that market. It's not the men. Because also one thing we never talk about also is that is defined as not only just visual, it's also written. And when it comes to erotic literature, women dominate that market. When 50 Shades of Grey came out, it became like one of the all-time best-selling books ever. And clearly that was women who were buying that book and then went and saw the movie that came later on. So I definitely think that, and especially given what Black Man was saying earlier about now how it seems like the target is now young girls now. They're not necessarily just playing to the men, because again, you're not going to necessarily create more demand there. But it's like any one of these. It's like any one of these sports leagues. I mean, like most of the sports leagues now, that you can see the product themselves. The NFL with the breast cancer movement, it's like a lot of the promotions now is because they want to get more women viewers of the game. And I think in this space here, you have a lot more women who are becoming involved or becoming attracted to it. And I think that's also what's driving a lot, because again, you're not gonna get that many more men interested, at least not in mass. But women have certainly taken to it a lot more over the years. And like I said, in the written world, they own that. Men don't run that; women do. So again, I'm not totally disagreeing with you. I'm just adding a little more nuance.
No, but let me just add this. You gotta, when you say that we're talking about straight porn, written porn, I'll agree with you. Men might not read that, but straight visual porn, I think, is driven by men. Women are the supply, men are the demand. Right? So there's more women supplying that, but men's demand for it. I mean, you go to OnlyFans, the subscriptions are mostly men, right? The men pay money for that, and they keep paying money for that. And it's a progressive kind of thing. The same porn that got me off yesterday is not the porn that gets me off tomorrow. You got to keep up in the ante. So I'll concede the fact that it's not everything in porn, but the visual porn, Pornhub.
I'm saying,
women. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we'll disagree with it. Like I said, I'm not saying, like I said, as far as the men, like I said, they got the men. It's not a question of that. If you want to go, where's the next market? Where are you going to make the money? It's going to be with the women. There's a lot of content out there that's being created for women's market also. So you got 50% market share out there. So you got to get, if you're going to grow any business, if you're going to grow it, you got to go where that 50% is. So that's going to grow too.
So what I gotta second down on what Mr. Bennett is saying, because if you hear what the younger adults are talking about, even the teenagers, you have more girls that's talking about being gay and bisexual and lesbian, right?
Just about to say that.
And they're not talking about it in a sense where it's PG. They're talking about it in the sense where it's XXX.
And and some of these women are in serious relationships, engaged, married, right? I work with a whole bunch of these slut buckets, right? And this is all they talk about. They say it all the time. Girl, we're going to a strip club this weekend. I'm trying to pay somebody's tuition, right? And one of the girls said, when you go to the strip club now, it's more girls throwing money than dudes.
They have a new saying, what they call a woman. They call them zaddy.
Yeah, call them zaddy. Yeah.
This is the thing. It used to be, before internet, it used to be a regional thing, right? It used to be a city thing, or it used to be more of a zip code thing. Now it's a global thing. It's a global thing that they're doing. And I have to agree with Mr. Bennett, because that's where the market is. If you hear the music that they're talking about, it's talking about fluid. It's fluid, right? Fluid, when you just everywhere, all around, pansexual, whatever it is, there's no boundaries. And right now I'm telling you, the majority of these young women, they have no problem with saying, I sleep with women, I sleep with men. I have a relationship with women, I have a relationship with men. This is what you're getting now. So even think about the OnlyFans, right? When you look at the statistics in the OnlyFans, nobody puts out the age. Why? Because you're supposed to be what? How old?
18.
At least 18. You know what I mean? Damn teenagers is on OnlyFans.
Line.
You know what I mean? Teenagers in these high schools that's on OnlyFans, that's doing OnlyFans. They're not checking that dog on that quick.
No. But JT, you also, let me add something to you. Then we can let everybody else cook then. But bro, I'm telling you, I'm sweet nasty, gotta go. But I'm gonna tell you something, bro. I went to my son's school, bro. And this is no disrespect to my wife. I love you, baby. I know she's watching. Yeah, thank you for your support. Oh, no, both sides. Okay, so
careful.
We went to the school. We went to the give us a minute. We went to the school, and my son kept bragging on this teacher, Miss King. Miss King, she's so nice. She's so sweet, Miss King. She always looking out for me. She always makes sure, she giving me extra work to get extra this and extra that. Miss King, Miss King, Miss King. So I was like, damn, my son ain't never talked about a teacher like this. I didn't think none of it. We walked in that room. He said, Dad, we at Miss King room now. You finna meet Miss King. I said, okay. Calm down, son. I walk in the room, brother, when I tell you on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being Halle Berry status in the 90s, this woman was a 12. Body, smile, hair, beautiful, curvy. I mean, spoke well. Hi. As soon as my son walked in, she said, hey, and hugged my son. I said, oh, this is why you passing in here. It's not because of the work, because I know my son's 16 and he's been exposed to that. And I'm going to say this because we grown here tonight. He's been exposed to that big old ass. She got a little old waist, big old breast, big old butt, beautiful smile. I mean, just when she talked to you, make you want to go back to school. And I'm saying to my son, I'm looking at my son over in the corner like, that's Miss King, Dad. That's Miss King, Dad. She cool, Dad. I see why you think she cool, son. And my wife's like, man, I don't really like, I said, that's how they're making them, baby. She said, yeah, but she seemed a little young around these young boys. She said, man, I know these boys are saying everything to her probably, or she probably, but she was, my son every day.
She's not Miss Crabtree no more.
No, it's not Miss Crabtree with the flower dress on and the hairnet. We're talking about, she look like she just graduated college, bro. And my son is just, he loves her. And when she hugs him, and I don't even like the hug. The hug looked like it was too much.
She's an incentive. She's an incentive for him to get to work, get to school on time. And
he did every day. Yeah, he had on time. He asked me, Daddy, we gonna start pulling names for Christmas. Is it okay if I buy Miss King something? No.
Oh my goodness.
No, it ain't okay.
Bring an apple in that class.
No, it's not okay for you to go to buy nothing.
Do you think your son is sexually attracted to her or attracted to her?
Absolutely, he is.
Doc, come on now.
I can look at her and tell you.
Doc.
No, man, Drill.
I know. He's trying to be PC, but Doc, come on, man.
Right. No, there's a 16-year-old where the teacher is doing the basketball team, right? There's the 16-year-olds where they're getting service and getting good grades. There's the
service
K through 8.
Don't do it.
There's the K through 8 and the whatever through 12, that those teachers are becoming more and more emotional bonding. Like back in the day, I'm telling your parents, teachers now willing to keep more of a secret.
Right.
So what I was asking was, in addition to like, God damn, in addition to that, the take care of my teachers, like we got to take care of her because I feel emotionally taken care of by her, if that makes sense. So I get what you're saying, Mendra. I'm not going to insult anyone's intelligence. I get that. But I was like, gifts, this is my teacher. Because if he was sexually, unless you and Dad are just like that cool, like, Dad, look at in front of Mom too, in front of Mom, then I would say, oh, that's not sexual. That's like not even infatuation. That's a connection where I feel empowered, the hugs and all that. So that's where I was going.
I think it's both, though. I think it's both, black man, because if we really think about it, I don't know how far you guys can think back in school, but when you had that teacher that actually had that type of bond, it was kind of like that with me when I had teachers and they were easy on the eyes, but it was the connection that we made, like the way that they've talked to me, the way that they made sure that I learned, and but it was more of that with the doc was talking about too. It's kind of like, it wasn't like our secret is our secret, but it was like you could tell me anything, and you know, it was kind of like, shit, I don't even know. I was confused. I ain't gonna even lie. I had a teacher, Miss Davis, 5th grade, and she was like that. And it was like, that was my incentive from going. I couldn't wait to get to her class. It was kind of like that. I didn't even want to go to 6th grade, man, because I had to go to a different school. And I was like, shit. So it could be both.
You confused, JT?
I was confused when it came down to how I felt about it, because
Yeah,
she was a grown woman.
you're right. Of course, at that time,
before you cook, Mandrea, I'm gonna say this to Dr. Nkumbe.
I wanted to marry her. Shit.
but the problem was, at that time you didn't know where things went.
Yeah. Now, Miss King is a teacher that he's passing. He's passing her class. She's offering tutoring. He stays.
Okay.
Now, I told him.
We know why.
You don't need the tutoring. Why are you staying? Well, it give me a little time before football practice, so I just go in and, you know, work on some stuff and go straight to football practice, Pop. I said, okay. I said, but you don't need it. Oh, I know, but a little extra work don't hurt, Dad. You always said, you know, overachieve. I said, okay, son. All right. Don't use my words on me. So what do you think that is, Dr. Nkumbe?
Okay.
Well, you have your adolescent lust, you have your adolescent puberty, you have your you have natural hormones on. She's fine, and what I know about the world and breast and boobs and God, but how much is she giving back into that? Are we talking about that 24-year-old teacher that just graduated college and now she's seeing the kid in the car and sending him notes in the middle of the night, texting him? So the energy exchange. Yes, she has all that, and he might be fantasizing, and his fantasies, he wants to do some things to her, but he's so excited about her not wanting to fail. He's just doing better. He feels connected, in addition to she's probably his wet dream. So I'm not dismissing the sex part. That part is probably true, but then how much is she giving into that?
And he don't want to disappoint her.
Right.
He gets to a point where he doesn't want to disappoint her.
Bro. You're right. All right. Welcome Mandrea to the show. But before Mandrea goes, we're gonna get Lost in Translation, Miss Jenny, and then Mandrea. Go ahead.
You know, I'm gonna double back to what Mr. Bennett said.
Yeah.
It's the women that's pushing the market. And I'm gonna tell you why.
Mm-hmm.
He spoke to earlier about women buying these books. Okay. The books is a safe place for women to express their erotica. Because think about it, they've been told all their life men are bad, men are extra creepy, you know what I mean, that type of thing. So what they do is they read books. It's a safe place for them to express themselves. You see what I'm saying? And if they can sneak and watch other stuff, that's what they do. They're not gonna brag on that, because they don't want everybody to look at them like, you know, you nasty. You know what I mean? She belongs to the streets. You know what I'm saying? That type of thing. So what they do is they express it in other ways. That's okay. Think about it. If a guy was doing the exact same thing that women would be doing, he would be called all type of names. But since, you know, we've been conditioned to believe that men are bad and women are good no matter what, then, you know, they pretty much have free reign to do what they have to do. Now, also, women also think about protecting themselves at all times. You see what I'm saying? They, even when they go to the stores, somebody's going to get me. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Think about it. When's the last time, fellas, you went to the store and you thought some woman was going to jump out the bushes and just grab you and have her way with you? We don't think about stuff like that. Women think about stuff like that all the time. So in their mind, they think about it more than we do. You see what I'm saying? So to speak to what Mr. Bennett said, I agree totally that women actually drive the market. And you know how I know? Think about it. We had groups that were young boys like New Edition, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC. They were actually singing to girls of a certain age. You know, they had a word for it. They call them heartthrobs. You know what I mean? Think about it. They didn't have no heartthrobs for boys. You know what I'm saying? They had, you know, girls. You know what I mean? Girls had the heartthrobs. You see what I'm saying? So automatically, if the girls show up to the concert, the boys already know where the girls are going to be at. So, you know, you kind of lead with the girls, and then the guys are going to follow. It's like Arpay said the other day, the guys just going to do what they do. You know, so that's the reason why they market to women before they market to men. Because if you get the women, the men automatically gonna
They
show
gonna
up.
come.
They
If
gonna
you
come.
build it,
And
they
that,
gonna
and that
come.
goes
Ladies
and that
free
goes back to
before
that goes back to Elvis. I mean,
Right.
he
Yeah,
might have
I
been
was
one of
just
the first
thinking that,
guys
Mr.
to
Bennett.
just and people to forget like the fervor he was causing back then. He literally the reason that he went into the
Swinging
army.
hips, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he swing his
He
hips.
went
They call it
he
law.
went into the army basically
Yeah.
to stay out of jail because they were going to arrest for doing lewd acts on stage, or at least
Say,
what was lewd at the time. So it's like, look, let's get you out the country. Let's let the stuff die down. So that's why he went into the military.
He was out there
Yep.
one for the
And he
money,
on stage talking about you looking for
for
trouble.
the show. You know
And
what
you
I'm
looking for
saying?
trouble.
You
You're
talking
looking
about,
for
Hey,
me.
but check
in
it out.
lost in translation, you guys are talking about who pushes, who's talking more about sex? Is that what you're talking
Now
about?
I'm saying
it's
who the
women.
market is.
Who's the market? Yeah, the market.
Who are the demand.
So do you think that's the
Who-
same
who-
thing for the over-sexualizing of the
Who's
of
the
the
supply?
kids' clothes and the
And
little babies' clothes at 7, 8 years old, who are
I
they're
think
making the clothes
I
more?
think if they can find a way to make money, there are no rules. If you're talking about pure capitalists, there's no rules, there's no boundaries there. They're gonna make it where they can make it. And for years, again, the women's sexual market was ignored for a lot of years. But then they started saying, even in that industry, there's certain segments that are made specifically for women, specifically for couples, specifically for any demographic that wants it. Whereas before it was like just one model. So again, and we all know about the music, Prince, Michael, all those guys, certainly, yeah, they were the ones that were driving the concert sales and whatnot. I don't know too many guys who just go to go to Earth, Wind and Fire. I mean, good music, jazz and stuff like that, but we don't go to see, like even back in the day,
B2K.
I didn't like Michael like that. I mean,
Right.
it wasn't to that. Oh, Michael, I got to see Michael. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. I
yeah.
mean,
Mike
again,
has
the
grown me
guys who
impact.
did that, to Lost in Translation's point, we thought things about them. If you were too excited to see Michael, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
Yeah, the only time you will see a dude passing out for Michael Jackson is over in China, or you know what I'm saying, Lebanon or somewhere like that. You'll see
Man.
guys passing out and shit like that, but
Passing
not
out.
here in America.
So let's
So
get
here's
Miss
my
Jenny here.
challenge.
Miss Jenny, what are
Oh,
your
sorry, go
thoughts
ahead.
on what we've been talking about so far?
Well, I think it's really interesting because that video, the second video where the guy was talking about how how they're targeting the kids younger and younger, and how it'll actually destroy your brain. I remember hearing about how that when a child is exposed to pornography, like it really like when every time you watch it, there's like grooves being made into your mind.
Mhm.
And like those have long lasting effects on your psyche and how your brain develops. And I think it was R. Payne who said, like, it's chocolate, sex, and drugs that do those things to you. And I just think it's so profound that we have age limits, and we have safeguards in place for when it comes to buying like cigarettes or buying alcohol or gambling. But when it comes to pornography, something that is just as addictive as those things, it's just the Wild West. It's completely, free for all. And I think it was, I forget that state, I think it was like Arkansas, where Pornhub completely just pulled out of that state because they were going to make the people verify their age. And Pornhub knows for a fact that they're not going to be able to survive if they don't get them while they're young, or if they don't sink their teeth into them while they're children. And so they can't have their audience verifying their ages to make sure that they're adults, because they need those children. So they're like, oh, we're going to have people verify their ages. We're just going to get out of here. And it's like, anyone who says that, oh, it's not really affecting anything. Oh, it doesn't really matter. Oh, people are just being puritanical and they're just being, pearl clutchers, and it's not that serious. Like, we're just standing by and watching as children are destroyed deliberately, knowingly. And I just think it's totally inexcusable.
You know what? I'm gonna say this real quick to what you just said. Well, not say it, because we already watched that video. But I have two more videos before we out. But I wanted to say this also is leading to the lack of care for our children. It's not only leading to over-sexualization of our children, but it's leading to our children being so sexualized that they're becoming missing, and they're being sold, and they're being put out on the streets. And so this guy right here, after this man, Jerry, you can cook, but I want you to hear this guy. And then I want you to see the list of children that he puts up on the screen. It's amazing. And I want you to listen to the chief, because he act like he don't know his job. He don't know where these kids are. I don't know. Maybe they ran away. I don't know what happened to them, right? So I want you guys to see this. Here we go.
24 kids vanishing in a matter of 2 weeks. What's the theory on what's happening here?
I don't think there's one exact theory that's a boilerplate that's going to fit this. Some of them could be runaways. There's really no evidence of any abductions or reported abductions. But you really have to kind of draw attention to this because it is an alarming number. Being that it's springtime, school is over, the weather's getting warm in Cleveland area, and kids are just kind of running wayward a little bit. And it's an alarming number that's drawn a lot of attention to law enforcement, but also our organization is Cleveland Missing.
Why so few photos of these kids?
Well, that seems unusual, and my agency, we encountered that as well. And
now look at
some
look at
parents,
these kids.
they just don't have photos of their kids. Maybe they're foster kids. Maybe they don't have the technology. There's just a number of reasons why. But this makes it really hard for law enforcement because it's a lot harder to look for a name than it is a face.
27 kids come up missing. You say they're runaways because it's the time of the year. So 27
That's not what
kids
he
got
said.
together and
Not what he
decided.
said.
He said they potentially could be runaways.
Yes, and they could.
Right? They could, but 27 in 2 weeks? 27
No,
kids in 2 weeks?
again, they don't have any pictures of them. The parents ain't paying attention to them kids, so no one knows what the fuck's going on.
Right. So
what do you expect law enforcement to do? You gave them nothing to go on.
All right, right. But what I'm saying is, the first thing he alluded to was we're at that time of year where kids are running away.
That's true.
27 kids decided to just run away in 2 weeks.
Hey, what do you want them to do? You're not reporting them missing. You're not reporting any kind of domestic problems. Nothing's reported. Nothing's recorded. Nothing.
Okay.
It's 27 kids are all of a sudden gone. Okay, now let's start asking questions.
Do you guys know
what's going on? Now let's investigate.
Mandra, I didn't want to do this.
You guys know? Well, don't Black man. Do you guys know how many was missing in Cleveland in the year of thus far? It's not even the end of 2023.
Yeah. Go. It's hundreds.
No, it's 1,072.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
1,072.
That ain't all of them ran away.
That's Cleveland, which is only 2 hours away from Detroit.
Okay, cool. My thing is this: all of them ain't runaways. I have no doubts about that. But my thing is the ineptitude of the adults in this situation is astounding. And then they want to look now. We're asking questions. This and the other. I'll look at the goddamn parents. You're shit. It's your fault. I don't look at law enforcement in any capacity on this. It's the parents.
I agree, but let me ask you.
Yeah. So my thing is, you can't hold on. You can't expect this white dude who don't care about black people probably.
There you go.
Hey, listen. I'm not denying that. Why would he? He doesn't know these kids. So my thing is, if you know that already, why are you not paying more attention to your children? And now you're looking for someone to help you.
Right.
I don't
look at this. These kids, those are 27. We're 1,000
when y'all
so
say
far.
kids, man, those some of them folks are grown, man. When you talking about kids, look at them people. What are you talking about kids? I just want.
There you go. That's another one. That's another thing, Doc. Exactly. Thank you, Doctor.
But yeah, because that's how he. I mean, that's how he presented. He was like 27 children have come up missing.
But
some of them dudes had beards, man.
But we're watching the video and still using the word kids and children. We're saying children and kids.
Well, they could be teenagers, though, Doc. You know what I'm saying?
You run it again? Yeah, but that's not.
Yeah, I run it again.
I think it's disingenuous to be like, oh, these kids and the children and the children. When you're talking about 17, when you're grown at 13, 15, 16, do whatever the hell you want to do. I don't give a fuck what you do as long as boom, 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 and then they're gone. So they're a minor. They're not 18, but I think it's disingenuous to put out there these kids and children. We're not talking about children. It's wrong either way. It's wrong either way. I just want to be clear what age group we're talking about.
They're sensationalizing it.
Adolescent. Yes.
Yeah.
If nothing else, call them adolescent.
I'm gonna write it again. Here we go.
24 kids vanishing in a matter of 2 weeks. What's the theory on what's happening here?
I don't think there's one exact theory that's a boilerplate that's going to fit this. Some of them could be runaways. There's really no evidence of any abductions or reported abductions. But you really have to kind of draw attention to this because it is an alarming number. Being that it's springtime, school is over, the weather's getting warm in Cleveland area, and kids are just kind of running wayward a little bit. And it's an alarming number that's drawn a lot of attention to law enforcement, but also our organization is Cleveland Missing.
Why so few photos of these kids?
Well, that seems unusual, and my agency, we encountered that as well. And some parents, they just don't have photos of their kids. Maybe they're foster kids. Maybe they don't have the technology. There's just a number of reasons why. But this makes it really hard for law enforcement because it's a lot harder to look for a name than it is a face.
I got Lewis Richardson look like he was like 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Lewis Richardson, that was no kid.
Now let me ask you
That's
this.
a grown ass man.
Let me ask you this. This is what my 15-year-old daughter asked me. She said, "Daddy," because she watched this stuff and she helped me edit and stuff, teaching her to edit and all this stuff. So she said, "Daddy, I have a question." I said, "Go ahead, baby." She said, "I had never seen this on the news." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't get reported a lot." She said, "Even about the girls in Washington you told us about." She said, "I don't never see anything." She said, "There were so many girls came on mission in Washington. You don't see it on CNN or any news." I said, "You're right." She said, "But Daddy, I don't want to say this, but if that was Amber Marakovich, it would be on CNN, MSNBC, HBO. I mean,
well, how many years did we hear about JonBenet Ramsey?
Yeah,
that case.
Natalie Holloway.
I mean, it was
years. And so I do believe Mandrell when Mandrell says, "Yeah, this man don't care about them." All those black faces on those pictures, he don't give a damn about them. And before we leave tonight, I'm gonna show you guys something. I hope you're ready for it. But he doesn't care. And I think that, these kids coming up missing, I just don't know what I would do. And that's why I think as a father, I'm talking from a parent perspective now. I am so overprotective of my kids right now. And I'm trying, y'all. I'm trying so hard to loosen the leash a little bit. I do, but man, it's hard when my daughter says, "I want to go out with my friends, and they having a dance at the school." It's hard. It's hard because, you're looking at these different news reports, or you're looking at different stuff that happens, and you see girls going out to a dance, and then the friends don't even know where they are. The girl missing. I don't know what I would do if I lost one of my babies. It would be bad. So I don't know how to loosen that rein like I need to. It's something. I just don't want to lose my baby,
bro. You're gonna have to, because again, on the flip side, I can't count how many PKs, how many conservative kids. I mean, kids like what Miss Jenny was talking about earlier about the church that she goes to, and a lot of those kids raised so strict, hyper strict.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get a first taste of anything, they gone. It's like, so I've seen on that side. So there's only so much of that you can control as a parent. I think, like the scripture say again, teach them, train up a child the way they should go, and when they grow old,
they will not depart from it.
But that doesn't mean they may go away for a minute. They may have a prodigal moment and step away and come back to it. But you can, you'll drive yourself crazy as a parent if you're always, trying so hard to keep your kids in a protected space that you don't allow them to express. But I've seen that go wayward also, and I know maybe Doctor has a view on that. But that can go left also.
Mr. Bennett, I've seen that go left far more times than I've seen it go right. Look at Preacher's Kids.
Oh,
okay, perfect example. Strict parent upbringing, Bible thumping, all in your face, blah blah blah. No TV, all this stuff. The second them kids get a whiff of the outside world, they're off to the races and gone.
Rumspringer all over.
I'm telling you, dude. And so I mean, you can't be too strict with your children, but I think you must be very mindful of how much you expose them to at certain ages. For example, we in the West, it's not just an American problem; it's a Western problem. We oversexualize children at an alarming rate. Not an alarming; it's not even dangerous. It's too late rate. It's too late. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tooth in the tube. Yeah, and we pretty much screwed ourselves, and worse off, we screwed our children. We can try to start, but there's too many people who like it, who are going to push back, and we're just not going to get the political capital to do so. It makes too much money to have people to be this sexually liberated. You got polyamory that's on the rise, and no, nothing against people who are into that. Do what you do. I think you should just keep that out of the public eye where children can't see it.
Exactly, bro.
Keep it around with adults if that's what you want to do, and don't teach it to your kids that's okay, because it's not.
What are they teaching? What are
they
teaching?
Well, I've seen people who are in polyamorous relationships, Doc, say that flat out say to children who are in elementary school that it's okay to love more than one person. It's a slow indoctrination to it. Now, granted, the evidence I saw was anecdotal, I'm not saying everyone who's into polyamory is doing this. I want to put that disclaimer out there. Not blaming everyone like this. However, if I see one video doing it, you know full well there's others out there doing it too. It's the same thing with the gay stuff. You slowly indoctrinating your kids into where their sexual organs go before they even know what they're used for.
Yeah, that one ain't that slow.
So,
It's just it's a slow and steady indoctrination.
All right, so hold on for a second, please. Let me. At the time you were, not you personally, whoever wants to role play with me. From the time we're born, if you have the traditional family of two parents, from the time you were born, you come out the womb and you are taught to love mama, papa, grandparent on one side of the family, grandparent on the other side of the family. If you have a brother or a sister, you have your favorite pair of shoes, not one pair of shoes, two pair of shoes. You have your play clothes, your regular clothes. You have choices in meals. Back in the day, it wasn't no damn choices, but you have choices in meals. You want a hot dog, you want macaroni and cheese. You have one car, two cars, three cars, four cars. You have a pet dog and he needs a friend. We've been introduced to having more than one from day one. How many of you right now in your purses and your wallets and your satchels and your other bags have more than one credit card, more than one bank account, more than one job, more than one motorcycle, more than one shirt, more than one? We've been taught from day one about more than one. And you go out east, people who barely have anything are happy to have one, where we have to have buy one phone and get the other one free. Buy three tires and get the fourth one
free. Gotcha.
So
because okay, Doc. I see. All right, Doc.
It's not just Gucci and
I get it, Doc. I got you. Here's the thing. When it comes to human interaction and relationship skills, the proof is irrefutable that it's far too unstable. People can't handle that. People get greedy. And you're right. Buy one, get one free. Buy one, get one half off. Buy three tires, get the fourth one free. Yeah, it's an abundance society that the West has, right? And the overall issue, one of the overall issues, is that in the West, when we say we did the 16th chapel, we talk about that as if everybody in the West had a part in that. It goes same thing with the microchip, same thing with any kind of art, science, mathematics, whatever. You think the entire West had a part in it, but when it comes to stuff like this, the side effects of it and how it's affecting our children, we want to compartmentalize blame. And now no one wants to take blame, no one wants to take responsibility. There's no accountability at all, and the thing is, everyone is complicit. Everyone who's ever watched porn, everyone who's ever done anything remotely close to it, you know what I'm saying? We're all complicit in it, and it's going to take a joint effort to fix the problem. But unfortunately, too many people are having too much fun, Doc.
Right.
So there's not enough of us who want to do the right thing to really make a difference.
Right. So let me make this now. I'll be quick, but so let me give a couple of stats first. So my credentials, what I do, I work with in forensic psychology, and I work with offenders. I work with victims, adolescents, and adults. First of all, I invite any of you to play a game. The more kids, the better. The more teams, the better. At a school, wherever. I play a game in the schools. I say, hey, I want to make sure I'm talking the same language that you're talking. I'm going to put a word on the board, a scientific word. You tell me all the slang names you know for it, so I know what you're thinking. I put up the word penis, and all the guys in the room name 500 names. They put up at least 50, 60, 70 names. Sausage, Johnson, blah, blah, blah. And it has to make sense. I have to know that it means something about a penis. You ask the girls in the same classroom, vagina. You get a couple of answers. You get a couple of play this with you. I mean,
no, I'm with you. I'm with you. You're right. I'm not disagreeing.
Then then I put up the word sex. All the guys in the room, the humpity hump, the hoobity hoobity,
right?
And it has to make sense. Like, don't put something stupid up there. I need to know if you're talking about your monkey sticking it in her taco. You talking about fucking? All right, boom.
Beef in your taco.
Right. And then I put up the word arm. ARM. Dukes. Guns. Okay, so we get about 2 or 3 names between the two genders. Between all the genders in the room, we get about 2 or 3 names that have to make sense. My left appendages itch. That's some bullshit. That needs to make sense. Now, here's the part. How many times do you use your arm in 1 minute? How many times do you use your arm in 1 minute? Because when I ask boys, how many times do you think about your penis? How many times do you think about what you're doing down there in the dark? They give some high number. Give some high number. Ask the girls; they will tell you low. What about when you're on your menstrual? Shit. I mean, like to change my hygiene product, sure, but to think about it, the numbers are low. It's not the women out there pushing this sex thing. They can party with the men all day. They can watch the porn all day, but at the end of the day, they're past it. And so, how many times you think about these things? They name some number. Here's the killer in the game. We use our arm minus your sleep hours and all that. The math usually comes out to about 14,000 times a day. So if you use your arm at least about 10 times, picking your nose, anything, but at least in 1 minute. Think about from when we do this to when we write, anything in a day.
Jacking off, yep.
Right. So you minus 8 hours of sleep. It comes up to about 14,000 times. But yet we only have 3 names. But here, your penis that you only use when you have to go to the bathroom, you might think about it a few times, regardless how nasty these boys are. And we got 500 names up there. Where's the focus? Wow. So they made sex the priority, but yet the thing that they use, they only have 3 or 4 names. Last thing, listen, I've worked because my stats I'm about to give you. Here's what I'm talking about. So here's what we don't talk about. All this sex stuff and all this sex stuff is part of an addiction. So drug addiction, sex addiction, codependency. I'll do whatever it takes to make you happy. And all the people I work with, the men, they're not talking about some video that they saw at blah, 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 blah. They're talking about their attachment style. They're talking about from the time they were a child, they weren't held enough. And they want this, the way they attach. There's 4 different styles. The way they attached. This is the Bible in the sex offender world. All you gotta do is look it up. This is the Bible. And in here you will hear about attachment. The way our kids are connecting. How much time do we spend with them? I was on the East Coast with a certain content provider. I watched them with their kids. They didn't hold on and have them on a leash and all that. No, them kids were checking in. They were never out of their parents' view, but at the same time, the parents trusted them and the kids trusted the parents. It was a collaboration, not a force. You better be where I can see you. The kids came over to say, hey, just so you know, I'm going to be, thanks for telling me. Thanks for sharing. We don't have enough conversations and collaboration, seeking safety. Our kids are finding safety in these people who are coming to talk to them. Think about when you do a funny to a kid, and they want to see it again. Do it again. And you are building safety. No, don't move. Watch, here we go. Bam. I think it's wrong when we keep saying that the people who go to the schools, the people influencing is real. It is real. But you mean to tell me either us on the panel or those listening, you've never seen something funny or weird and all of a sudden and didn't adopt it? I've seen drag queens. I didn't desire to become one. Now, yes, they're getting younger and younger and younger, I admit, but the people who are pushing that are not the same people who are going out daily, getting their asses handed to them, and they had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Gay people we've seen, did you turn gay? Look at the lady who's on the internet right now talking about, I'm converting. She's saying out loud, I'm converting these women. I'm telling them to stop dating. Does she have all the women? She has a number of them who feel lost, who feel confused, who feel hurt, who feel like you're so comforting and you're going to give me something that I didn't have. But are they really converting? Because you go to the East, and Mandrell, you can probably speak to this better than I can. My stats and my information says in the East, in Japan, there are more women that are bisexual and lesbians than I mean, like they bond not because of the sex part of it, but because of the companionship and then this and that and that and that and that. So when we're talking about converting people, you just can't sprinkle something on and convert someone to anything. And then there are people who grow out of stages. They grow out of stages. So whatever you show them as a child, are the parents supporting it? At school, I saw this. And is the parents saying, well, let me go buy you a dress now? Now the psychologists, and shame on the industry. Shame on the industry. We're being encouraged to be affirming. and what we're trying to, what is really trying to happen is trying to form this alliance. So it's a wraparound. Because if you have a hole in the system, you can't complete your mission. You can't complete your mission. So get the doctors on board, because the parents who are going, I don't know anything about that. Let's talk to your doctor. You go to the doctor. Well, it's probably the thing to do. Let's go see the psychologist. You have to pass a test first. You have the psychologists who are afraid. Yeah, if that's how you feel. So you intimidate them, boom, 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 and now we just have this vicious, nonstop cycle of
bias confirmation, basically.
Yes,
yes.
It's
confirmation
a
bias
system.
I got you.
Not just the one going up to the school. I get it. That is wrong.
Yeah. Like I said, I told you. Like I said, that's anecdotal. And what I'm saying is, it's an indoctrination. That's what I'm saying. It's an indoctrination. Indoctrination is slow moving. It's not just. I'm not saying that they're just coming in and boom, trying to convert people. They're indoctrinating them at a young age. So at the young age, you tell them it's so. First, you start them off with it's okay. Tolerance. That's what you're trying to build in them early. You know what I'm saying? And as they get older, they expose them to more and more and more, because they already got the lesson of tolerance, saying it's okay. Right. I firmly believe that whatever that is, that should be left up to the parents to teach the children. You know what I'm saying? I think that schools should. And back to what you were saying about the medical field, I've gotten several emails from YouTube about my YouTube channel. If I'm talking about something that is not officially confirmed by medical doctors, they reserve the right to demonetize that video.
You're going to monetize.
Like Jay Speed did his last episode. He was talking about his daily diet. Mr. Bennett has done his episode on his daily diet. Friday, Noble from the World Class. He's going to do his on, because he's a vegan. And they're like, okay, YouTube's on me already. I'm not even monetized, nowhere near it. They're already at me. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it is, and the only reason why they're doing that is because it's marketable. There's money in it. And that's the driving factor behind all of it. Why it's allowed to happen. There's money in marketing to alternative lifestyles. There's money in marketing to women. And as long as, I think Arpane was saying that men are the demand. Yeah, that's true. But the thing is, it falls back to women following our lead. If we demanded that they have higher standards, women are going to have higher standards. But, you got too many guys out there who just, I'm gonna take it. Hey, I'm taking it. It's out there. I'm gonna take it. You got too many dudes who are just mouth breathers. You know what I'm saying? And they're just horned up. They're not focused on anything else other than Johnson. There's a word for you there, Doc. But they're too focused on the wrong thing, using the wrong head.
Right.
To really make that too.
Right.
But you got a lot of that. You got a lot of that going on.
Dr. Nakumbe, I want you to hold that thought, because I got something I want you to see real quick. And then I want you to elaborate on what you're going to say now and that. This is the last video, guys. But I thought this was powerful, how he explained this. And so let's take a look at it. Here we go.
I mean, a 9-year-old boy in Gaza is more of a man than a 25-year-old in America. You prolong adolescence to an absurd degree. You don't prioritize maturity, but at the same time, you sexualize your children very early. I mean, you've got like 3rd graders twerking, and singing explicit song lyrics, and then you put that on social media for everyone to see. You're teaching kindergartners about sex, masturbation, about homosexuality and transgenderism. You think that prepubescent children can decide to have their genitals removed before they even know what they're actually for. You put little girls in beauty contests and try to turn them into, miniature Beyoncés and Cardi B's singing about WAP. 12% of 12-year-olds in the U.S. are already sexually active at 12. And that's from a study 10 years ago. So you can expect that the percentage is even higher now. 6.5% of them had actually already engaged in anal sex by the age of 12. The majority of sex offenders in the West victimize children, and they say about 90% of sexual assaults on children are never even reported. So imagine what the real numbers are. No, you have a pedophilia problem in the West, and no matter how much you wish you could, you can't shift that over to us. We're not going to help you justify your sickness. Islam does not approve of this. You don't raise your children the way we do.
Yeah, hold on. That gentleman name is Shahid Bolson, and Shamiri and I are working on a series where we're going to be playing videos of him, because he has a lot of videos.
Man,
there's a lot of footage of him. Listen, that guy's the real deal.
He could,
because I talked to Shamari about it. I said, this is what I want to talk about. I want to do a whole video series about this, blah, blah, blah. I sent her a bunch of videos. She's been watching them. She's down with it. So everyone look forward to that. And I return tomorrow night of Benjel and Shushu. So yeah, Shahid Bolson, he's the real deal. You'll see when she and I actually do our series on him. He is no joke.
He ain't lying though. And Mr. Bennett, I saw you shaking your head at the beginning when he was talking about a 9-year-old can do more than a damn 9-year-old there can do more than a 25-year-old here.
Yeah,
That's
we prolong. He's right. Prolonged adolescence.
Yeah, the prolonged
adolescence. Yeah,
the prolonged adolescence, and we're not, But I think that also comes back to I think both points are coming together. That prolonged adolescence is also leading to sexual immaturity here. Now, again, in Islamic states where that is, I mean, there's a national way of thinking, or in the laws that don't tolerate certain things. So I think you can kind of control, a lot of that. But again, a lot of those women, for example, in those countries are marrying at much younger ages than they are here, and so I think there's a disconnect between again how we in this country we do prolong, like I said. Teenagers in my time, 30-year-olds are still not doing what we were doing as teenagers. And again, we're not allowing people to become full adults, yet we judge. A lot of times we'll judge and say, if a guy marries a 16-year-old girl over there, oh, he's a pedophile because he's marrying that young girl.
Right. And
so who are we to judge when they're saying they're raising a much more mature person than ones over here? So I think, again, so the way we kind of look at this, what I sort of, we're kind of like bipolar here. We're puritanical, puritanical on one side, and then we're over-sexualized on the other. It's like, and we even judge ourselves. We judge previous generations. It's like, oh, Mo, your mom got married at 16. Oh, that's nasty. But look, that's it. Biology is driving.
Yeah, that 16-year-old can take care of a house. That 16-year-old can raise children. And if she's 16, the men marry those women, yes, but they're not engaging in intercourse until the young lady comes of age. Hold on. They have checks. And also it depends on what country you're in, because a lot of countries, they have checks and balances to make sure of that. They do check the hymen until when that young lady gets to a certain age, they check.
You know what fucks us up?
You're in trouble.
But you know what screws us up?
They don't play. They don't play, man. They have rules, and they rule that societies with morality. And their morals, they take them everywhere they go. Everywhere they go, they take the morals. Now, again, you have different countries with different cultures, but they do things in the name of Islam, but it has nothing to do with Islam, really. Yeah. Like, for example, what we call terrorists, Al-Qaeda and all them, it has nothing to do with Islam. It has nothing to do with their religion. They're just yahoos and nut jobs who want to do violent things in the name of a religion, but it has nothing to do with being an actual.
So you weren't talking to overall, because my mom got married at 15. She had me at 16.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, fair enough.
But we think that we look at that as being abhorrent today.
Yeah.
And it's
so our standards are.
And it comes from because of the conversations, though, Mr. Bennett. You said it earlier. We keep dumbing shit down to. I just gotta say it this way. We keep dumbing it down to. Just saying that it's like it's the Illuminati or people are just being evil. It's like those conversations gets us nowhere. It just keeps putting us in it spins us around. But when we can give meaning and we can give definitive, things that's going around, like what we're seeing right now, when we're talking about the over-sexualization of minors and young kids, right? Adolescents, we give reason why, not that it's just a bunch of evil people that's doing it. It goes to the point of the market. It goes to you and our pain was already having that discussion about it. It's the market. It's following the money. It's how do we make more resources, right? And we don't give a care about the human resources. We give a care about the money that comes behind it and how far we can take this, whatever we take it. And then we go on to the next thing. And then we go on to the next thing. So this is what we talk about, man.
Hey,
Are we
can I
holding
just
each other
say one thing? Can I
on
just say one
adolescence.
thing? Because I really got to bounce off. But again, powerful show tonight. But one thing that he did bring up, and one thing we didn't really touch on, as far as the dangers of today, certainly with all this access, I think the real danger is in that you do have more access for predators to our children,
Oh, I was
and the
about to
ways
say
that
that
they can
already.
and the ways they can get at us. That might be a whole nother show in and of itself. But if we want to talk about where the real dangers are, is our kids being open to that. Someone drops you an email, someone puts them in your IG, hey, you cute, or whatever, and just all that. So protecting our kids in those situations, I think, is something certainly worth exploring. And I think there are positive actions we can do in that regard. But I think, as I said earlier, I think the genie is out of the bottle. We're not going to go and put that genie back. But can we protect our kids from online predators? I think that is something worth discussing. But listen, I got to
How are we
run.
going to protect them? How are we going to protect them if we're allowing them to watch it? How are we going to protect them if we're not protecting how many times have we actually talked to our sisters and brothers, like our siblings, to say, hey, that dude you're dating? Because sometimes I joke about, man.
All the time.
Boy.
I was about to say,
all the time. I tell my sister all the time.
I was going to say, I was just about to say, I joke about you sometimes, like, dang, dude, you like Scarface, man. Can she ever have a...
Yeah, she can.
But seriously, do we even have those conversations anymore? Do we even protect each other anymore? The average offender, again, so I'm going off of book knowledge and 10 years of experience with adults and 5 years of experience with adolescents.
Children. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going off of that. Those who are getting into the kids, access to the kids, they are going through the parents. They don't always go, the percentages are higher that they go through the parents because they have to get someone trusting. You get a kid who's confused, but if you get a kid who's aligned, you know how many parents are suffering, desperate for a relationship? So when he says, oh, it's a thunderstorm, let's all sleep in the bed together. And if in this case, I'll say a woman first, she's just happy to have that guy with, and she's trusting him. And while she's asleep on one side, he's rolling over, fondling the other one. And then vice versa, the men, how many times are we protecting our kids from people who have access to them? So schools, family members, friends. So we just gotten away from protecting, and we sit and watch, or we feel powerless. How many professionals are out there empowering the parents? Because we get so used to, like, oh, I better not say anything. I might get hurt. So we don't want to get hurt today, but we'll let 3 generations more get hurt because we didn't want to get hurt today. How many of us are really talking to the kids like, why you got on all that makeup? My niece cried. I was talking about this lady at the shoe store. I was like, ooh, you like her? You like my niece, 10 years old? You like her? I said, she's a little bit on the big side. What's wrong with you? I am not joking. I videotaped it. On one of these other nights, I'll show you. I videotaped her like, whoa, what?
I want to see that.
Where did you get this from?
What?
Girl, I said, if you don't quit playing, let's go ask her. No, we went back into the shoe store. Ma'am, now your size, I'm called obese. What do they call you? She said right there in front of her, woo, my big ass.
Don't say that.
I can't believe my niece was so sold on what they told her at school about body shaming and accepting people for who they are. I said, we have to be able to tell and handle the truth. Are we having those challenging conversations about the truth? Are we feeling so intimidated by the kids that we want to be friends with them? Be friends with them. Let's be
exactly,
friends,
bro.
Let's be nice to them.
Tell
Let's be
them.
nice to them.
Yes.
Come on.
And you know what? I'll give you an example. Go ahead, Doc. I'll give you an example. Bro, my daughter lost her damn mind. She went to college, came back. She walked in. I said, you must have came back from a Halloween party. That's what I talk to my kids. I'm gonna shame the shit out of them. I'm coming here looking stupid. So anyway, the next day she came out. She said, we're going to the game. I said, yeah, we're going to the game. Let me go get dressed. She come out of there with some damn red little shades with some little shorts. I said, I don't know where the fuck you going, but you ain't going with me. You could go take that shit out. I said, you like a fake ass Barbie doll. And I told her,
shame.
Get them damn, I don't know what
Shame.
I said, I know before you left here, I
Shame.
told you how beautiful you were. And I tell you all the time, why do you feel like you have to engage in this bullshit? Why do you have to go out and put lashes in your fucking eyes, or put weave in your damn head, down your damn back? What's the point? Why? I just want to know why. Can you tell me why? And she sit there and stare. You don't even know you're conforming to them, to the what they got going on out here. To hell with that.
What if her answer was because she likes the way she looks with it on?
I don't give a damn about that. You listen. Listen. This is why, Mandrell. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna let everybody else cook. This is why some women, not all. Let me do like Mandrell do. Some women, not all. I'm gonna make that disclaimer. Some women will never be happy with anything. They ain't gonna never be pleased. Let me tell you why. God gave them hair, they get extensions. God gave them eyelashes, they go extend them. God gave them an ass, they put the injections in it. God gave them breasts, they go get them filled up, right? God gave them everything. And if they're not pleased with what God gave them, who are you? What can you provide? What can you give them? If they're not happy with what God gave them, who the hell are you?
And the 9-year-olds, hold on. Across seas, they don't have all that, and they love themselves. The 9-year-olds across seas, they don't have all that.
I see.
Well, hold on. Here's the thing. Hold on now. Now I think you might want to reword that argument.
Oh yeah, lost in translation right after you, Mandrell. Come on now, stop taking up spot, man.
Well, the thing is because like, I didn't like my strength level when I was growing up, so I did push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups. I lifted weights. I started running sprints. You know what I'm saying? God gave me that. It gave me a natural base.
He also gave you the will to put in effort. That's effort. That takes
and you can't come home and take, right. And you
and the same thing. Look, and the same thing with now.
Take your bicep off. You don't be in the mirror saying, "Let me take this bitch off. I'll put it back on."
No, I can't do that. Right. And the shoulders you see, like
exactly.
They're no joke. Like this, my shoulders really are this big.
We're not talking about you tonight, Mandrell. We're not talking about your ass tonight.
No, what I'm saying is, like,
I got you.
I know, JT, but I'm just saying, like, that can go. People can try to argue your point with that.
They're gonna lose the argument because you're doing
woman
something.
And one of the eyelashes get caught in your pupil, or you having sex with your woman and you pull that wig wrong, that motherfucker come off, and then like you having sex with Ving Rhames. You listen. We have to get to a point where women go back to their natural beauty. But lost in translation, go ahead.
All right. Can I just, if my
go ahead, Don. Go ahead.
If Ring Veins needs love too. So here's the deal.
Ving Rhames.
Why the desire? Why the need? I still challenge the self-worth, self-esteem.
Yes.
The belief that this will make me more beautiful and accepted. I'll land with that.
Man, hey, Doc, hold on, I'm gonna say this back to him. You can go. Listen, Doc, I'm telling you, I always tell the women that when the women be grouped up talking about that shit, I tell them, I say, listen, you don't love yourself. You cannot love yourself if you go into the store getting 8 packs of Yaki and 4 or 5 different things of eyelashes, and you put 8 layers of makeup on your face every day. You do not love what you see when you get up in the morning if you got to spend 2 hours on your damn head and your face. Go ahead, Lost in Translation.
It goes back to reinforcement, man. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to what guys are reinforcing with women. If you tell women they look beautiful with all that makeup on, guess what they're going to do? They're going to put the makeup on. But my thing is, if you tell a woman she's sweet because she did X, Y, and Z for you, or how she helped somebody else, then she'll have something better to believe in. So you can improve on your behavior because there's no end to that. You can continue to replicate that over and over and over again. You can only get so much beautiful. You can only put on so much makeup. You know what I'm saying? So what they do is they keep buying this stuff because we keep reinforcing it. Now, to speak back to what we were saying the other time about how parents need to be held accountable, and we always say it's their fault. There are some parents out here who are actually doing a doggone good job. I was watching this video the other day where this child had went to go meet somebody, anonymously online. And what happened was when she got to the house, guess who jumped out the closet?
The mama.
Her mama.
Yeah, I saw that.
And her mama was like, what you think you doing? You know what I'm saying? Do you know anybody could have snatched you up? This could have went any other way. And that was a black mama. Then they had a set of white parents who had pulled up in a white van, and they had set their son up to say, hey, you know, Susie's in the back of the van, jump in. Then they grabbed him and put a bag over his head. Guess who was in the back of the van? His mama and his daddy. And they told him this thing could have went any old kind of way.
Anyway,
there are parents out here who are actually doing the work, but they don't get the praise that they do. We only go after the parents who have failed, and we shame them, but we don't praise the parents for doing a wonderful job with their kids. So my thing is this: there needs to be a balance when it comes to these things. What you focus on is what you'll get. And if you keep propping up the bad stuff all the time, that's what you're gonna get. So my thing is this: kudos to the parents who went out there and showed their kids that this thing could have went any old kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And showing that their kids, you know, hey, I'm showing up for you because I love you. You know what I mean? They weren't at work or whatever. They actually stopped what they were doing because their kids were that important to them. And they said, you know, I'm going to teach my kid a lesson. You know what I mean? You can't just meet people online and then show up. And then could you imagine that kid, their mama jumping out the closet? Of all the people, you know, they would have rather have a kidnapper come get them than their mama. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So their mama had to explain to them, you can't be doing this.
Right.
So shouts out to the mamas, you know, and the daddies who are actually, you know, teaching their kids, hey, this is a bad idea. And I promise you, in the back of that kid's mind, they're going to think twice before they ever attempt to do something like that again.
Right. And let's stay on their ass. Parents, I know
That's
you out
right.
there. I know you get tired sometimes. I know you get weary sometimes, but I stay on my kids' ass. Let me tell you what I do. I'm not sponsored by them. Hopefully they hear me and want to sponsor Black Men Filter Network. But there's an app called Bark. Now listen, if you go download Bark, you can monitor your children all day and they don't even know it. You can monitor what they text. You can monitor videos that they watch. You can shut their asses down. If you think they're texting too much in class, shut off their text message. If you think their phone need to be turned off for a certain period of time, you can do that. You can block them from all types of apps. When they go to download an app, the permission has to come from the parent. So it'll come to my phone or my wife's phone, and we have to accept the app on their phone. All my kids have this. We already put where their school is, the address. And if they leave that address, we know exactly where they're going. It'll say left school campus, back on school campus. They give the time, the time stamps. Bro, it is an amazing
app. Gives the miles per hour too that they're moving at too.
Man, exactly. So you'll know if your kid's in a car or you know if your kid is walking, right? And so it's a beautiful app. I advise all parents to get it because even if your kids are talking vulgar in text messages, sending stuff about sex, anything, it'll be sent to your phone and you'll be able to monitor everything that they do. It's an amazing app.
That's a good control measure, but that's an avoidance. Like, so I don't get to do this. I don't get to do that. But are we having authentic? I like the system. That's cool. But I also say, please, let's have stronger relationships. I think there's a problem. I think there's a problem with the parent who looks at their 6-year-old and be like, I like the way they look. Why? They have a right to do what they. If you're saying that about your 6-year-old,
right?
But yet we're talking about they shouldn't have tattoos, they shouldn't do this, they shouldn't. But you get all in your feelings about a 6-year-old, and they have a right. They have a right. Then why are you parenting them?
They're
why
projecting.
even have parents?
So
So
projecting.
Yes, a greater relationship. And if you got treated bad when you were a kid, I'm sorry. But allowing your kid to do whatever they want to do, then why have parents? If I lost in translation, love what you said. Would like to add one piece to it. When you talk about those good parents, may I ask you, if you could speak to how did they get to that point? Like what's the ingredient that they have that they're not submitting or subjugating to the other system? Like, can you suggest?
I will tell you this: they're having more time with their kids in this day and age where stuff is higher than ever and people working more and more jobs and being busy. These parents are sacrificing going out, making more money and making their children a priority. You see what I'm saying? There's one thing for you to actually give your kids everything they want. It's another thing for you to actually sit down and talk to them. I tell people all the time, man, it takes a lifetime to raise your children, and it just doesn't stop when they're 18. It's going to continue as they get older. So my thing is the more time that you spend with that child, the more they feel comfortable expressing themselves and talking to you about whatever. You see what I'm saying? And you have to make sure that it's comfortable for them to say, hey, look, you can talk to me about anything. I'm here. I'm your parent. I'm here to guide you through life. I'm not going to tell you any lies because I have a vested interest in you. And over time, you have to build that trust. You can just say it one time. It has to be demonstrated. So in the case of the parents who actually told the kid, hey, don't go out, and then they actually do it, and then for the parent to actually set them up and say, hey, look, I told you. They had the conversation before they actually did what they had to do. And they said, this is what I was talking about, how this could have went wrong. So those parents who are actually putting in the time and the effort, I congratulate them, because they're not only telling their kids what to do, they're actually demonstrating it and walking them through life. I think that is very important. It's more important to teach your kids than to give your kids. Walking that wisdom and knowledge with them every day is what's important, because you're teaching them how to solve their own problems when you're not there. Character is when you do stuff when nobody else is watching. That's who you are. And that's what these parents teach you.
And JT, I've heard you speak to this before about learning. I remember what show you on, but JT, I've heard you talk about allowing those kids to learn those, like how to manage themselves, how to have self-control. Because at some point, if the parent is not there to control everything and they don't know how to have self-control, then they're screwed. And then I wonder, is that parenting based on keeping the kids safe, or about the own parents? You know, I would say BMU, is that about you and your wife's, like, we got to make sure, we got to make sure. And the day that system doesn't work, it's like, woo. So anyway, thank you.
With my kids, they kind of did the same thing I did. My oldest daughter at 17, she went to Tennessee State. My youngest daughter at 18, she went to Xavier, Louisiana. And one of my things was being able to explore with both of them. I mean, because this is the first thing for me and their mom, and it's the first thing for them. So what we had to do was we had to literally, I did not want to scare them. See, that's another thing that messes up a lot of people. You can scare your kids where they don't want to go anywhere. My daughters, they get on the plane and go across the waters, you know. So, but it came to a point of just having the confidence and not being naive. It's like having the balance, not being naive, but also being able to, you know, what 911 is everywhere, wherever you go, you know exactly how to use that. Don't be using your phone, because a lot of kids, they mess around and I don't know what, for the life of me, with these iPhones, their power goes out real fast in their phones. They don't charge their phones. They don't do anything. And that's one of my biggest things for my kids also. My oldest daughter, she's a parent now. So now it's at a point where I'm looking at her on how she's going to mold her kid while still learning to be an adult. She's 28. She has a child that's 3. How do you still develop while developing your child? That's another thing. The reason why I'm saying that is because, again, because I'm going to have a show on young parents and the psyche with them and the things that they had missed and the things that they also gained. And it should scare everyone. We're talking about anywhere from 21 to 29 years old, to hear what these young parents, how they think. It should get us to a point where it's like, we're going to have to reevaluate the way we even think.
Please let me know when you're doing that. I want to hype that up. Let me know when you're.
Absolutely. It's taking me a minute, man, because what I'm doing is I'm the influencers, right? You know, you got the Pretty Reds, and you have Cardi B's and stuff like that. And one of the things I want people to see is how they were also conditioned and raised, right? And look where they're at right now. And then how many people that they influence. It's a lot. Not only young women, it's men that they're influencing now. These are parents. It's a lot more. Sukihanas, all of these. So, and then I got regular girls that's talking to regular men, and they're between the ages of 18 and 30 years old. It would scare the shit out you. It's just taking me a while because, man, it's on a lot of platforms, so I got to get these edits together.
Yeah, I'll say this, and I'm gonna let Miss Jenny and R. Payne say something, then we'll get out of here. Listen, we're living in a time, something's missing, guys. And just observing, I'm not trying to be funny, I'm being for real. I coach some of these boys that are now in high school and middle school. And I teach them to be very vicious on the field, not off, right? So it's hard. It was hard for me to go out to the football game yesterday and watch those boys I used to coach since they were babies, since they was in flag football. They're out there playing with a whole nother squad of boys. And it's hard for me to watch these young men, young boys who are becoming men. There's something missing. They're so flamboyant. I know a lot of people say, back in the day, the way we was raised, it didn't work. Some worked because these boys, y'all, are out there, they're crying. They're running on the field with their hands all bent. Just, all this shit. When they talk, I'm trying not to be mean,
snatching
bro.
When they talk,
they're like,
aisle 5, man. We know what you're talking about.
Let's go, offensive line, let's go. I'm like, what the fuck is, and my son say, and I'm like, yeah, I understand, son. I understand. It's I don't understand it. And the other day I got some flack for my workout video with my sons, working them out with their skill sets and working out the quarterback of their team. I go pick him up and work him out as well. And I got some flack for how tough I was on them boys. I don't know if y'all saw the video.
That was not tough.
I saw it.
Wait, what kind of flack did you get? What did they say?
They're saying that I'm too forceful on them. I talk to them.
Who's saying this? Yeah, what gender?
Of course, women, of course.
Okay, then ignore it. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
I did ignore it, but I'm bringing it up to say women don't want men to be men anymore. They want men to be pillow talking sisters. Because even at the game, I'm at the game, and it's hard for me not to coach these boys. And I'm sitting in the bleachers now. I'm a fan. I'm sitting in the stands now, so I'm not on the sideline no more. These boys didn't grew up. They didn't left me, but I'm on the sideline. Even the coach is flamboyant. I'm God damn it. I'm getting pissed off. I'm going to record his flamboyant ass. He's on the sideline, walking down the sideline with a clip. He got the damn clipboard walking like this. I said, what the fuck? So I'm going to record
tasting himself as he talk.
Dude, I'm on the side. I'm in the stands. My wife told me, baby, you gotta be quiet. These ain't your boys no more. And I'm up in the stands. Pull, come this way, pick him up. Number 12, defensive end. Move in here, move out. This is me the whole game. The coach not saying anything. He don't motivate them. He don't pull them in. There's no motivation. There's no grabbing of the jerseys. There's no encouragement, like fierce encouragement. None of that, right? And I think that we've lost that. I think that we've lost the beast in our young men. Because back in the day when we played, I wanted to kill you. I wanted to take your life.
How old is the
I wanted
coach?
to knock your head off your body. And now it's boys running.
Probably 20,
it's just it's frozen. It's fucking.
How old is the
frozen.
coach, bro? How old is the coach?
Oh, he young. He 29, 30.
I told you about 29. That sounds like a 29-year-old.
29, 30.
He say, hold it. That's
And one of the
hold
parents,
it.
and one of the parents is friends with him on social media. See, this is how you don't be friends with your kids' parents.
Right.
One of the parents said, I bet if we take him back to that Beyonce concert he was at Saturday, he'll coach. So he was online at the damn Beyonce concert.
He part of the Beehive.
Yeah, he a part of the Hive. And you know, bro. And so I start calling the Beyonce, not on purpose. It just slipped. But the point I'm trying to make is I think we're missing some fellas. I think our boys are not, they're not masculine boys anymore. They're young ladies with penises, and I'm just tired of it.
We
And
don't celebrate
and
masculinity no more, man.
yeah, they don't teach. And even Sunday, when I was telling my son, you heard me, I said, get your ass up. I don't care if you got hit. Get your ass up, and we're gonna run this shit again until you get it right. Right? We're gonna run it again.
Oh, but Miss Jenny, but I had a question after Miss Jenny goes.
Go ahead, Miss Jenny.
I don't. Do you have like a specific question? Because I'm just kind of listening.
No. I just wanted to get your final thoughts on the show.
Jenny to clean the whole house up, to cook
the whole house up, and cook the meal and everything. No, I just wanted to get your final thoughts, sweetheart. Your final thoughts.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Another video that I thought you might show, but what JT has said about Sexy Red, I saw a video that she went to a high school. And they pulled her in from the cafeteria, the gymnasium. The kids were in the gymnasium all lined up, and they went crazy. And the administrators, they were like, "We told you guys not to act like that. We're gonna make her leave." And it's like, okay, it's one thing for kids to want to be influenced by a Sexy Red or by a Cardi B, but it's a whole nother thing entirely when the administration hires this woman and brings her in to influence the kids. Because there might have been a handful of kids in there who didn't know who she was, and now it's like, okay, I'm just gonna go to school and I'm gonna do my work and I'm gonna keep my head down and I'm gonna be a good student, and they're bringing these singing prostitutes into the school. I mean, under no circumstances would I ever take my kid to public school. It's homeschool or bust as far as I'm concerned.
Exactly.
But I just think it's like, okay, it's one thing for children to be immature and not do what's best for them because their minds are still forming and they're going to do things. They're like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I'm mature enough, and they're not. But it's another thing when like you're an adult, you're a teacher, you're a principal, you're supposed to know better, and you're promulgating this filth, and it's inexcusable, and people need to be in jail for some of the stuff that they're doing.
Are we talking to those teachers? Somebody knows somebody knows somebody. Are we talking? If your friend is doing that, sorry, Arpin. Go ahead, Arpin. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can finish. Okay, let me just go ahead and say this. I'll be quick, and you can go ahead and cook.
That's what she said.
Yeah, that's true. But let me tell you, on the Sexy Red thing, I'm making sure I'm doing a video on her, and I'm challenging Black women who are not saying anything about the debauchery of these kind of women in general. I mean, men are saying this. Her, Sukihana, and Gorilla, whatever. These women are plants, by the way. And Red is going to Penn State. They got like a white game, whatever they call it. And she's going to be featured at Penn State. I mean, she's the most. Here's the thing. There's a new article out called they promote eating ass, right? And there's an article out that women are the biggest growing thing is this intestinal virus that's going on from people eating each other's ass. And these women promote that. I'm telling you, I don't know if they have it, but this article has a big picture of both of these girls, and they're talking about doing booty things, man. I mean, it's just the most debaucherous thing in the world. And this thing about the emasculation of men, it's been going on for a long time. It started with the whole marketing of toxic masculinity, and no men really pushing back. I did something on that. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity.
No, it's not the men that's not pushing back, bro.
They're not pushing. Men are not pushing back. Men are
promoting the ones that's pushing back are old like me and you. They're old like me.
There's a lot of men who are not only pushing back, they're leaning into this shit, especially from Hollywood. They're leaning into it.
And it goes to what your boy was just saying. What Black man was just saying. These are not men with masculine. They don't have any morals and values.
Let me finish what I'm saying. Yeah. Men who would otherwise be considered men are pushing are leaning into that bullshit, like Steve Rogers, Captain America. And let me say, what I'm just trying to say is they say 20% of Gen Zers are gender fluid. 20%. That's the highest in history. So the men in Gen Z, they don't have those guidelines. So you're going to see a whole bunch of zesty dudes coming out here. And so this whole thing from feminism, marketing, and telling men to be softer is been going on for years. And it's working. And especially in the West. Men don't stand up, hold their balls, and say, listen, I'm this far and no further. And it's not that many men doing that anymore. They letting their wives tell them what to do. Girlfriends are telling them what to do. And, you know, men walk out the house and girls say, where you going with those? He said, okay, honey, takes off his balls, hangs them on a hanger, and then he goes out without his balls. And let me tell you, you know, I don't know how to put the genie back in the bottle, but I think some of these spaces where men stand up and tell women, you know what? I don't care what you say about body count. This shit matters to us. It doesn't matter whether it matters to you or not. It matters to us. Your age matters to us, right? If you're 40 years old, you know, I'm not going to marry you if I want kids, right? You got 6 babies from 7 baby fathers. You ain't worth that much to me no more. Your best years are gone, you know? And so we don't need to argue about some of these things no more. The statistics are there. We should just move on. And let me just say, yeah, and then all this shit is to indoctrinate the kids to be the way they need them to be. And the earlier the better. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll close with my 2 questions. One, BMU, if those coaches and those players won championships, what would you say?
They won't.
No. If those guys switching on the sidelines and all that, and they were winning championships, either because other players didn't want to touch them, so they let them go by and get touchdowns, or they're putting their dick in their face and running down the field and getting touchdowns. If they were winning championships, would it matter if they twitched?
It would still bother me. Yes.
Okay.
And they would not win.
Yeah.
So
because the team my son them played, them niggas came and beat the dog breaks off their ass.
Okay. So here's my closing question. Forever, people were taught not to speak about their sexuality.
Yeah.
If you were gay back in the day, it was either hush hush, it was quiet quiet. You on the down low, right? So was that really about people being themselves or people feeling trapped? And now that the cages have been released of these animals, right? So they get to talk more, they get to be themselves, and the tables are turning. So forever, heterosexuals were the prominent, the dominant, and you don't speak about or else will. And now that it's getting reversed, one, we're not liking it. Okay, we're not liking it. We don't like that it's reversed now. We're bitching and talking about it like forgetting that we were doing the same thing for a long time doing the same thing. And I'm not here to say who's wrong or right, but I do want to say this. And this is on the tail of what R. Payne just said. If we're losing this thing, we have a number of brothers out there who are thinking about men in general, who are thinking about deleting themselves because they no longer know their place. When you have jobs, when the supervisor is saying, "Why'd you grab the box for me? You're being too masculine. You're being too misogynistic." And the employer's like, "Oh, my bad." And they're starting to buy into this. I'm being too, and they're shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. That means we're going to have a number of men who no longer feel a sense of purpose, who no longer know their place, and they're going to start contemplating their exit. So while we're trying to figure all this out, I just want to give a plug in for making sure we look out for our brothers, men across the board, but our brothers that say, "Hey, you just got whipped by that system. Hey, you just got told you're not shit. Hey, you just got told to calm down. You just got replaced by all these women, da 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 da." And until we can figure that out, please keep an eye out for us brothers and men who are falling by the wayside. That's my other plea.
Yeah. You know what made me proud yesterday? After that game, I walked down to go and high five my son. and a lot of the ladies, older ladies, old school. Hey, sir, what's your name? I told her my name. She said, when are you applying for the coaching position? I said, I'm not. I said, I can help out, though. I'll help out as much as I possibly can. If I get off early enough, I get to the practice. She said, we want to see you at the practices. Our boys need you. Right? It was more hush hush, right? The original coach of the team, he was coach of that school for 37 years. And a car injury sidelined him for pretty much forever. He's on crutches every day. He can't walk. But he's still there every day. And, you know, he's probably in his 70s right now, maybe. So he's getting to the point where nobody listens to him. The boys don't respect him. But they need all the help they can get. So I'm going to volunteer my help to try to help as much as I can. I just want to tough them up, though. And I need the parents to understand when your son's out here playing a man's game, he's going to play a man's game, right? If your son want to, and we have to, like our Payne said, we got to start telling the truth. If your son want to be a cheerleader, let him be a cheerleader. They got male cheerleaders. But on this gridiron, I'm going to take your son through some shit, and I need you to sit back and shut up. I need you to know that your son going to get hit. He's going to get his ass knocked off. Because back in the day when I played, if you were soft on the team and you were the weakest link, they put your ass, they had something called GATA, G-A-T-A, get after their asses.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you were soft or showed any flamboyancy at all, oh, that shit was out of you by 3:30. And if it wasn't out of you, you start hiding it because you know that you didn't want to get your ass tagged no more. Right? So we need to get back to that, or we're not going to have no men. We're not going to have no masculine men standing up for nobody. No masculine men standing up for their family, their wives. Nobody. We're not going to have it. We're going to have more men that are sisters to the women more than misters to the women.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be for a very,
go ahead. I'm sorry, Doc. But then just be careful how so what I just heard you say is they need to toughen up. You can have tough gay people. And my whole thing is not to advocate for the gay. My whole thing is to advocate for this. Because when I hear, if I'm listening and I hear it's the gays that are interfering in this and that, I want to go hurt people. But you can have some soft heterosexual people. You can have some soft, incapable heterosexual people. So when we say we want to make them tough, that's one thing. But if we're saying, oh, they're gay, they're this, they're twitching, and we need to get rid of them, and then they're the ones also taking over. So we have to learn how to become allies with the people who are allies. We need to teach skills and all that. And if they can't handle, please move out the way. This is a football game. We're going to hit you like you've never been hit before. Right. I went to North High School, Minneapolis, Minnesota. It took one good hit. I ran down to feel like I was really doing something. The guy put his helmet right in my chest. I laid and laid and laid. I was all that shit about I was going to get. After that, I had to learn one or two things. Get out the way. And then I couldn't understand why my coach wouldn't let me in. Come on, coach. Never let me in. I was like, man, you don't let me. He said, you got hit one time, and I didn't think you're going to live after that. I need people out there get all this. All they do is get hit. And I was so mad by that, I had something to prove after that. But I went to go prove it. And it wasn't that I was gay. It was just like, man, you guys hit hard. Right? So he's like a little bitch. Well, you hit so hard. But I wasn't gay. So I just want to say, be careful. But just be careful.
You're just soft.
I'm just soft. Right. And that's my only thing. That just to be careful when we're putting people in harm's way because we're blaming them versus saying, hey, if you're soft, we don't want you on the team. And if you're soft because you've been raised by a woman and well, we need to teach you some things about being a man. Glad your mama taught you. Mamas, you might want to do differently because now this kid got to learn a whole new system.
Right.
That's all I want to say. So
and my 13-year-old, I'll say this real quick and I'm gonna let y'all go. My 13-year-old that was out there playing, it's so frustrating to me to hear him be frustrated because he knows, right? I've been coaching this boy since he was a baby. He knows how tough he has to be out there. And I hear my son talking to his teammates. What are you crying for? Get up off of the ground. Get up.
This is Sparta!
You know what I'm saying? He's like in the clock, and one dude, he was just on the knee, didn't want to get up to get set. and the clock's running down. They call false start like twice. And my son he unsnapping his helmet. He angry, and I'm just yelling at son, just calm down. It's all right. It's gonna be all right, because he knows that shit's not. He don't like that shit at all. Like
Now,
he is over.
Now I can tell you this though, black man, that is an experience you need to let him experience, because that's a classroom that he's in right now. That's going to help him to be able to have patience later in life. So what he's going through, that's an experience he has to experience, man. I remember having to deal with frustration and all these different things, because we want to get our kids to a point where they have wisdom, right? Once we get to a point in life, man, wisdom, man, is it has way more currency than so many other things that we think, that is more,
right,
retainable. But wisdom is something different, because that is something that we can share with someone else, especially if we know where we came from and where we at right now. That's a classroom, man, that he's gonna always remember that. When he goes through something else that is, later in life, he's gonna revert back to that. That's gonna be in his index. So he definitely needs to deal with that part right there. When it comes down to tough, one of the things I learned was tough starts here. Starts here. I don't care how big. I done seen some of the biggest dudes, man, that was cream puffs.
Man, cream
and
puffs.
It wasn't the fact that they wasn't. It wasn't that they wasn't
tired of being a cream puff.
Absolutely. It wasn't that they wasn't strong enough, physically. It was that their mindset. And look, he's playing a team sport.
Right.
He has to learn that takes the team to be able to win. We win how? That's why the coach is supposed to be there. The coach can't be a cream puff himself. He has to learn his team. And then he has to be able to, according to what their strengths and weaknesses are, this is how they end up winning games, right? This is what you see. So, all of these things that we deal with, man, I know as a kid, man, my father, and I thank God for him. It's a lot of things he'd let me go through it. He was looking. He was like, well, if I need to go and intervene, but I intervene. But he used to let me go through it, and he used to, let me have that frustration, and I was able to be able to vent. And then they'd laugh. Him and my mom, they'd see how frustrated I be and stuff. And then when it's time for them to talk to me, they'll laugh. They're like, let me show you how silly you is. And then they'll talk to me and they laugh about it. Then I end up laughing about it. And it kind of ushered me into, okay, I don't want to look silly like that no more. And I just started getting more and more and more stronger in the mind. So that's what we need, man. We need to have more young men and young women to be stronger in the mind. And right now, what we have is a couple of generations of cream puffs. They don't want to do shit. They think a person loves them because they did something for them. This is what that culture is, and we gotta change that shit up for the next generation.
And I would say, teach them, BMU, teach them. Back in the day, and lost in translation. Forgive me. You appear that you might be mixed. So forgive me if I'm wrong, because people are not always right. But back in the day, let's say lost in translation was struggling with our group. Teach your son and be like, hey man, I get that frustration, but there ain't nothing we could do about it. We will go to lost in translation and say, hey man, I know you're struggling trying to figure out, and this is just an example. Skippity boo. Right now, it don't matter if you think you black or you white. It don't get, when you are here in this room, when we play in this sport, you amongst a bunch of ninjas. Say ninja. Well, I don't know. Ninja, or else go bye. Bye. Man, so when you are, allow your son to go back, hey man, I don't give a fuck who you fucking, what you doing, how much dick you, not here. No, you keep that. We need you to be able to play and take the hit or move. And teach them how to communicate with each other.
Exactly.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, hey, lost in translation for let me use that example. So
hey, lost in translation. Go ahead and so you can get your final off, and then we'll be out of here. Go ahead.
My thing is this, man. We have to arm our children with wisdom. You know what I mean? Life itself is already bad, And we have to make sure that we put our children through the fiery crucible of life to pull out the gold, which is the wisdom inside of them. The world is going to attach all type of trash to your child, whether you like it or not. But it's up to you to make sure that you pour in a little bit of that gold, a little bit of that wisdom every single day. So when they're tested through the fiery crucible of life, all of that stuff burns itself away, and your child can stand in that fire, and they can actually become what they need to become. And then once they're done, they'll be that shining gold that stands out. So they're not influenced by anybody else, no matter what the situation they're in. And there's no substitute for experience. There's no substitute for tutelage. There's no substitute for making sure that you spend a certain amount of time with your child. Because once they're older and you pass away, they need to be able to repeat the cycle with their children and say, hey, look, this is what my parents taught me, and I'm going to teach you. And teach them that what you're teaching them is a value. So they'll treat it as if it's value. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people online who discount those who came before them because they don't have enough information themselves to understand that what these older people are telling them is valuable. So what we have to make sure we do as a community is to make sure that we value wisdom once again. You know what I mean? Dad told me there's always two ways you can get wisdom. You can earn it or you can learn it. You see, I would rather you learn it than earn it, because it's a whole lot worse if you have to earn it. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is this: you want to make sure that you create an environment of like-minded individuals to, like we said earlier, to insulate your children in a group of values. You know what I mean? I tell guys all the time, if you decide you want to have a family, make sure you get around other like-minded families as well who have the same values. That's what any other culture does. They're going to say, hey, look, this culture here that we're creating, we create married families and extended families, and the grandparents pass on wisdom to those grandchildren so they can learn and be doubly blessed, not only from their grandparents and from their parents and extended family, and also friends of like mind. So what happens is once these people are in the world, away from their community, they can still stand out and say, hey, those people are remnants of a group of people who don't put up with a whole bunch of stuff. You see what I'm saying? And no matter what they're exposed to, they can go through it. I think we have to get back better at building that particular community, because there's always safety in the multitude of counsel. And that's my thing. That's my plane. I'm gonna land it right there.
I appreciate it, man. Before we get out of here, thank you. I appreciate you, Arpain, for the $20 super chat. Say for the love of the game. Appreciate that. And we also got Information Man in the building with the $4 super chat that says Black Men Unfiltered, great show, brother. I appreciate you both. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now we'll be back tomorrow with the sports show at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and then right after that, Mandrill and Shushu, Unapologetic with Mandrill and Shushu, will be on at 8:30 tomorrow night. Y'all come and check it out. And so we'll do that. Now, y'all missed a great show last week with Lost in Translation and I and the rest of the gang here when we talked about the situation. I just want to give you guys a quick update of what I've seen in the last 5 days. And when we talked about Kirk. Now, come to find out, his mother was a little older. His mama was a little older than the guy that got her pregnant. I think she was 21-ish and he was 16. And I think the embarrassment of that is the reason why she's not talking or she's not admitting after 52 years that this man's father was living right down the damn road. So yeah, that's just an update on that. That's crazy. And to this day, she's still denying the test, saying that man's not his father. And he took one without her being there, and then they took another one while she was present, and she still denies both.
I think that was very noble of Kurt Franklin to do that, because the first time he opened up was, I can't remember if it was Oprah show or somebody else's, when he was talking about he was a sex addict.
Yeah.
That was the first time he's opened up to that magnitude. So that man has been very transparent for a very long time, man. So kudos to him, man.
Yeah, man. I just want to say this to everybody before we get out. 50. Thank you so much, Miss Jenny. Thank you, Lost in Translation, Dr. Nkumbe, as always. Our Pain, JT on What We Know podcast, and Mandrell, thank you for being here tonight as well. And thank you to Take Heed to the Message. Make sure you go and subscribe to over there to her as well. Thank her for being here. But guys, it's bad out here because how many other men are experiencing that are not on the celebrity status, that grew up with a man that raised them that they had no connection with, and a man dies and you resent that man because you had no connection with your father. Then you find out after 52 years your mother lied and told you that was your father, and your father was a successful man in the military, living in a real nice mansion down the street, and your son used to go over and play at the neighbor's house right next door to the man. That's crazy. So just shout out to all the men out there that have suffered that. Hope you guys get through that, get you some therapy. Dr. Nkumbe is available if you need to talk to somebody, for sure. Reach out to him. But yeah, until next time, guys, we'll see you guys on tomorrow. Mandrell on Wednesday, Sports Show Wednesday 7, Mandrell right after that, 8:30, and then we have Dr. Nkumbe and Coach K at 7 o'clock on Thursday, and then Friday we'll be in the barbershop. And then guess what, guys? We're going to have a show on Saturday.
But
I'll let y'all know more about that as we get along. I mean, get all the stuff prepared and ready. But yeah, we'll have a show on Saturday as well.
Be dope.
So we're moving on up. All right. So thank you guys so much again. We'll see you guys on tomorrow. Make sure you come support Mandrell and Shushu tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Get in the chat. Let them know that you're supporting them. And then on Thursday, make sure you come and support Coach K and Dr. Nkumbe. They get it in as well. So make sure you come and support them 7 o'clock Central Standard Time on Thursday. All right. We'll see y'all later. Peace.